Call the Finance Administration and Economic Development Committee to order. It is Monday, April 15th, 3 p.m. If everyone could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public notification of this meeting has been published, posted, and distributed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. I would ask for someone to approve today's agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Ms. Tabernick, is a second?
Second it.
All right, any discussion on that? Seeing no discussion, we will approve this without objection. Is there any objection?
No.
Seeing no objection, this has been approved. I'd ask then for someone to make a motion to approve our minutes from our special call meeting of March 11th, 2024, and also a meeting from March 18th, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
All right, thank you, Tab. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you, Ms. Brown. So it has been seconded. Is there any more discussion on that? Seeing no discussion, we approve this without objection. And seeing no objection, it has been approved. I'd like to open up for our citizens' comment period. If there's someone in the audience who would like to speak during our citizens' comment, or anyone online. And let me start out by saying that obviously the video is not working here in the chambers this morning, so we will not be able to see my pretty face or anyone else up here's pretty face, and then our speakers, but we will be able to see the presentations as they come up online. So all the presentations will be up, and anything else that we've got that are attachments will be shown then on there. And if the audio doesn't work, this meeting would still be available by audio, for people who want to follow back up with anything. So just want to make sure that is clear there. So I'd like to start with our Assistant County Administrator report, Mr. Dale Butts, and also Miss Denise Christmas. And Dale's one of our Assistant County Administrators. So Dale, go ahead and let us know what you got.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. You're not going to really hear from me. I've asked Ebony Sanders, our assessor, to come before you again to give you just a brief update over the next few minutes on some stuff that they have going on in the assessor's office, show you some data that she's recently compiled when it comes to legal residents. So that's 4% through 6%. And I've asked her to say a few words about that, as well as talk to you a little bit about why it's extremely important for us to collect both of those, 4% and 6%. So Ebony Sanders from our Assessor's Department.
Ms. Sanders, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for allowing me to come before you. I sent over, I hope you received it, an idea of where we're at with regards to legal residency as the county as in its entirety. What we have, once we completed our reassessment, our countywide reassessment in 2023, we had a total parcel count of 134,000 parcels, a little over 134,000 parcels. As of March of this year, of those 134,000 parcels, we're looking at about 59,380 thousand parcels that are receiving the legal residency exemption of some form. That includes mobile homes, condominiums, parcels that are improved single-family residential properties. And in the graph that I did provide to you, you do have it.
And you have the ability of moving it along too with the Costa Rica.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we get lost.
So as you can see from the graph that you have in front of you there, of the 134,000 parcels that we have with Beaufort County, only 75,000 of those are at non-legal residency rates. So that includes all of your vacant parcels, commercial parcels, and second residential properties or second homes. So as you can see from that particular graph, that we're almost at the brink of the county being split completely in half with legal residential properties and non-legal residential properties. So this is a report that I gave finance to kind of give them an idea of those property owners will not be paying in the school operation mills. So we have 59,000 parcels that are exempt from the school operation mills. You can see on the next graph, you said I can,
You should be able to do it with
the pointer?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Here's a breakdown that I also provided to finance to give you them an idea of what we're looking at with regards to legal residency dwelling. These are just, this particular pie chart is for properties that are considered single-family residence. Again, these are mobile homes, condominiums, improved properties, single-family dwellings. Does not include ag use, because they are considered, they get a 4%, but they pay into the school operations, so that's why I put that disclaimer there. But as you can see on this particular pie chart, out of our single-family or livable dwellings, we are at 58% of those properties are receiving that legal residency exemption. So only 42% are at the point where they are paying at the 6% rate. So that kind of gives you an idea. Now, we have gone beyond that threshold, above half of our properties of livable or dwellings that are at the legal residency exemption. Again, those property owners are not paying into the school operation mills. They are exempted based on the South Carolina code. And the final chart that I have here, I kind of wanted to give you an idea of the progression over time. You can see that progression currently as of March. We have 59,373 parcels that are receiving the exemption in Beaufort County. Now, again, we have to go through the entire calendar year. Our exemption period to qualify or to apply for the exemption ends January 15th. So that number I anticipate will increase because people respond to notifications that are sent by the county auditor, a notification that are sent by myself and our department with regards to assessment notices, as well as their tax bills. So typically people are really reactive instead of being proactive. And so with that reactive, they'll react to the tax bills. And when they see their 6% assessment on that tax bill, then they'll typically apply. And that's when we see an influx in applications when tax bills go out. So here, you can see the progression over time, when 2021 through, I think it's 2020 on there, through current. And that data that I've retrieved from is from our countywide data file that we provide to finance annually. It's an estimate with regards to the values, but it gives us a clear indication of the number of properties that are at the legal residency rate. So as you can see, if you're looking at 2022 to 2023, it was an eye-opener not only for myself. I knew the data was there and the increases that was shown on our tax records, but when you look at it, you can see that there was 10,000 more properties that qualify for the legal residency just in that year. So that tells us that there are more people that are coming to Beaufort or claiming their property here in Beaufort County as their primary residency. Now, we see that, again, from 23 to 24, we have to go through the entire year, so I expect that number to increase. But we can see that there is some increases because I think it's because of COVID and those type of things. But people are moving here and they want to make this their home. So I provided that to you to give you an idea of what we're looking like with regards to the number of properties in Beaufort that is receiving that exemption. Another point I want to make before I forget my thought. Currently, the Department of Revenue annually reaches out to our department, and they ask for a voluntary audit. It's on a voluntary basis. They ask for our top 100 parcels that are receiving the legal residency, or the ones that are receiving the top 100 of the highest benefactors of that exemption. I submitted that to the Department of Revenue. It's a voluntary audit. And they will run it through to make sure that those individuals are filing income tax. And if they're not, or there's something that's some red flags on their end, they share that back with our office, and then we do additional research. And if there's a situation where we have to back tax them or reach out to that taxpayer to have those discussions, we do that. But I just wanted to show that there are many wheels are turning behind the scenes with regards to this exemption. And I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of the number of parcels that are receiving it and what we're doing to kind of keep those property owners with that exemption. But that's all I have to present today.
Any questions for Ms. Sanders?
Yeah, I have one.
Good.
Somewhat
Larry.
related to this. And apparently Lancaster, hi Ebony, how are you today? I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay, I'm well, thank you.
Lancaster County's deputy administrator was on television the other night and said because the South Carolina law which doesn't give individual counties the flexibility to grant penalty fee waivers in the absence of a filed extension. What is a filed extension?
Well, the file extension, I did not see, first, let me preface it. I did not see the actual presentation from the Lancaster administrator.
That's okay. No, that's okay. I just need
but
to
I'm
know what
ass-
a filed extension is.
I'm assuming that, it's an assumption based on what your question is, that they're talking about the extension that the treasurer could apply for to extend the filing date, or for, you talking about legal residency or for taxes? I'm just not
Well, I think
sure.
it's, I don't think it's for legal, I think it's for tax.
Yeah.
I think people are getting a 6% and then saying that it should be 4%.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of them are just ignoring it, others are, paying it, others aren't doing anything. Some of them, I guess, do something, and I'm trying to find out exactly what is a filed extension. Because apparently that's somehow connected to the flexibility to grant penalty fee waivers within the state.
That-
Maybe I should talk to you about this another time privately, because I don't want to take up a lot of time here, but I do have a concern about it, because I was informed earlier that it can't be done, but then I also heard that it can be done. So I'll tell you what, rather than taking up the time here, there's a lot of people with a lot to say today. Why don't I just give you a call tomorrow or the next day, and that'll give you some time to look into it.
That's acceptable. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Ebony, appreciate it.
And let me just help, and you did a great job explaining, Ms. Sanders, is the fact that what she was mentioning was Act 388 is what decides how taxes are paid in South Carolina. It's a state rule, and so everyone pays what's considered a 6% tax. However, if you apply for the homestead exemption, that you live here full-time and you're a resident, well, then you get taxed at a 4%. However, if you're not a resident, you then have to pay the school tax. I've had many parents come up to me and talk about taxes for schools, and I'll say, if you're a full-time resident, go look at your tax bill. There is no school tax there. So that's why if you don't have that 4%, your taxes are so much higher, because you're paying a higher tax rate, plus you're paying for the school tax.
You are correct. That homestead exemption is it's a benefit. Act 388 made the benefit, gave more broader, gave them more of a benefit. So you're correct. The legal residency exemption is an exemption that you have to qualify, you have to apply for and qualify for. And so it does exempt the property owners from those school operation mills. And so on their tax bill, they will see the mills as a negative because it's coming off of there, and they're completely exempted off that, from that. And and it's a big difference. It's more than, and then you have the 2% on top of it, so you get the 4% to 6%, or 6% to 4%, and then you get exempted from the school operation mills on top of it. So yes, it's a hefty exemption.
Ebony, Mr. Chairman, just one more question.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Larry.
Yes, I can see you all now, to a certain extent, which is great. There's a distinction to be made between a 4% tax rate and the homestead exemption, is that correct?
There is a distinction, right? One is for age, and one doesn't have an age requirement. You are correct.
4% does not have an age requirement.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Sanders?
I think she did a great job.
She did a very good job. Thank you, Ms. Sanders. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and I'd like to have Ms. Denise Christmas come forward.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would like to introduce our latest employee to the finance team. So Ms. Kay McIntyre is here. She is our newest addition to the finance team. She is our staff accountant. She has 3 years of experience with the city of Beaufort and their finance department. And she worked in multiple facets of that office. And now she is helping us tremendously here at the county in our finance department. Kay has her bachelor's degree in business administration and finance, and she loves to golf, go for walks, and read in her spare time. And it's been a pleasure having her with us over the past few weeks. Do you want to say anything?
Just wanted to say that it's been lovely working underneath Denise and Christine, and I'm looking forward to working with you all soon. Thank you.
And what is Ms. McIntyre's job title?
Staff accountant. She's a staff accountant.
Very good.
And will she have any spare time now that she's working
No,
hers?
we've got her running all over the place. Yeah, she's great. Thank y'all.
Thank
And so
you.
we're gonna kick it off. I think Valerie's next on the agenda,
Yes.
but she was going to simply come up here to say that we're kicking off the budget presentations, and they are limited again to 15 minutes each. I will set my timer at the desk over here, because I don't think our timer is working right now, or we didn't do the timer, preset the timer, so I'm gonna be monitoring it over here. Thank you.
All right,
And I
good.
think first on our list is Miss Stephanie Smart Gettings.
Good. And Ms. Christmas is our Chief Financial Officer. I didn't quite put that out. And Valerie, this is her first budget year, so Valerie, we're happy to have you here. And Valerie's official title, is it Budget Director? Budget Manager? Okay, good. Thank you, Valerie.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for summoning me to Beaufort. I don't often come over here, so it's a good opportunity to be over here and enjoy the water. My name is Stephanie Smart Gettings. I am the 14th Circuit Public Defender. I represent Allendale, Hampton, Jasper, Colleton, and Beaufort. As most of you all know, Beaufort is our administrating county, and what that means to the people that don't know is that Beaufort holds all of our finances. We do not control any of the money that we have in our office. Beaufort County does, and they do so with the assistance from the other counties who support their portion of the budget as well. With regard to our 24-25 request, we've asked for an additional $424,904.16. And as you're aware, we have not asked the council for an increase since probably about 2021. We've done so because within the last couple of years, there has been some discrepancy as to whether or not our office was a part of the Beaufort County Comp Plan. We relied on the staff in the county that our office, the Public Defender's Office, was a part of the county comp plan. But we were advised this year, or maybe the end of last year, that we were not a part of that comp plan. In the process of changing job titles, job descriptions, and moving over our employees to the comp plan, we incurred an increase in our budget of $298,189.34. So in doing so, the county did not contribute that portion to our budget. Mr. Hayes called me last year and told me that we were going to be over budget this year if we didn't do anything. So we've been working with Denise and Christine and everybody trying to figure this out. So we appreciate the staff for everything that they've done to try to help us get to a resolution. We do not believe that we will be a part of the county comp plan because I believe we're not eligible according to staff. So we ask that the county increase our budget to cover the cost of $424,904.16 so that we will not be over budget for the raises that we gave to our employees for changing their positions. And also, when we talked about being a part of the comp plan, one of the reasons it was suggested to us is that we wouldn't have to come before the council to ask for the COLA increases or any other increases. So we wanted to take advantage of that so we wouldn't have to come before the council to request that. But because as of right now, we're not eligible for the comp plan, we just ask that you increase our budget to the 5% COLA that was given in, I believe, 2022, and also the 3% COLA that was given in April of 2023. And I believe in October of last year, the county sent out an email indicating that the staff would receive a $3,000 increase, but our office did not receive that increase because we're not on the comp plan. So we would just ask that you increase our budget by that amount so that, we're not asking for anything additional because the state did give us an extra $300,000 in retention money. So we were able to use that. But we just ask that you give us the $424,904.60 to make our budget whole. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Smart Gettings?
I have a couple questions. These are in general for your public defender office. How many of your contracts are with vendors outside of South Carolina?
That's a question that Amber Adams, who's here, she may have to answer, but I don't believe we have any. Do we have any? No.
You don't have any?
Only
Because-
our subcontractors, some contractors would be experts like that would testify in court, and that's about the only vendors that we have.
But are you required to have all those contracts sent to the commission?
Commission,
Your
which commission? Commission on Indigent Defense? No, we aren't.
You're not required?
No.
Okay, I was told you are required to send them to the commission. I'm sorry, somebody have a comment?
You mean like ex parte orders? I'm not, like, our contracts, no.
Contracts.
But if we have an ex parte order for, let's say, an expert testified on DNA or gunshot residue, then the Office of Indigent Defense will have to get those contracts because they reimburse us for that money. So as long as it's available in Columbia and we submit the ex parte order, then we'll be reimbursed for that.
So then my next question is, you have county vehicles, correct?
Yes, we do.
Are they all decaled and identifiable as Beaufort County vehicles?
No, they are county vehicles. They do not have Beaufort County on them.
Why would they not? If there
Because
are
some of those
vehicles?
vehicles are located in Allendale, Colleton, Jasper, and Hampton.
So do those counties contribute to the vehicles?
They contribute to our budget.
That was my next question. How much do they contribute?
I'm not as sure the exact amount, but I do know that Allendale contributes the lowest at $20,000. And we have asked for increases for every year since I've been Circuit Public Defender, but they have not been able to increase our budget. Hampton County increased our budget last year. Colleton County has given us an increase in our budget for the last 3 years, and Jasper County increased our budget 2 years ago. When we wrote letters to the county councils after we discussed with finance what the county portion of the increase in salaries would be, we sent that request to increase our budget by the amount that their portion would be.
So would you be able to provide us with that, how much each county has given over the last 3 years?
The finance office receives it because they receive all of our money.
You have that for us? You're looking at me
Or you
funny.
can,
How much each county is given to them?
She is right. All the counties have increased their funding except Allendale.
Allendale. So all of those counties should be deferring some of this $424,000 increase cost.
No, that is only for Beaufort County employees. So one of the things we talked about initially was, staff wanted a list of the people that work physically in Beaufort County, who support Beaufort County. The other counties, we do not use any of Beaufort's funding to support the other counties. Now, we do have investigators and attorneys who have to take cases in Beaufort County because we don't have any conflict attorneys. So those attorneys do have to work in Beaufort County. Our investigators, we have, I believe now, 3 investigators in Beaufort County. Sometimes there are conflicts with our investigators, so our investigators from Jasper or Hampton or Colleton will come over here and do the investigation. So I use the employees all over the circuit, but the majority of the work is done by Beaufort County. And staff can tell you that I have not used any of Beaufort County funding to fund any of the outlying counties.
So every public defender that's funded by the county has 100% clients in the county.
Yes.
We don't take
No.
clients outside the county.
Yes, they do take, now, if a judge appoints an attorney from any office, then that attorney has to take the case. If Judge Mullen decides that she wants a Beaufort County attorney to take an Allendale County case, then that attorney has to take the case. And the same thing here, because we don't have any private attorneys who contract with us to do conflict work. So if we ever have 5 or 6 defendants, those are co-defendants. And those co-defendants will have to have conflict counsel. So what we'll do, and what I have tried to do to save money, is to use attorneys from the other offices. So, or if there's a case where one of the attorneys feel like they're uncomfortable with the case and they would like another attorney to handle that case, then I'll ask around the counties to find out if anybody would be able to take that case, and I'll assign it to that person. So it just depends. But Beaufort County funding, and I believe they can correct me on this if I'm incorrect, Beaufort County's funding is used for funding Beaufort County attorneys. Now, my mitigation team, that is a Beaufort County team, is physically located in Jasper County because we do not have office space in Beaufort County. We've asked for about 3 years for increase in office, for a different office space, and we thought we were gonna get it in a new building, but we have not been given office space. So for logistical reasons, that team is located in the Jasper County office.
Can you tell us a little bit about the mitigation team?
Yes, so, one of the things that I learned, or noticed, that we were incurring costs for experts. Whenever we needed a mitigation expert or any type of expert, we would have to pay or contract with an expert. So I hired a mitigation team to do that work. That person is paid in-house, and we're not incurring the cost of a mitigation expert or any other type of expert. So Heather Price holds that position right now. She used to work at the Beaufort County Detention Center. She's now been with our office about 3 years. And what she does mostly is mitigate some of the issues with regard to the clients. So if an attorney has a case where a person is probably going to receive 10 years or more, they'll probably ask her to look into the mitigation so that we can use that to mitigate their sentences. And so she basically does that. She does a lot of actually alcohol and drug placement findings, women's shelter issues. So it's a wholehearted type of position where she works with any attorney doing anything. And Judge Mullins actually asked her to help a couple of other attorneys, but we had to tell her she couldn't do that because she was funded by Beaufort County. But the judges appreciate the work that she's done, and she's been very instrumental to our office. She has, there's also a mitigation attorney. One of the problems that we were having was the collateral consequences issues that our clients were having that wasn't criminal, so they couldn't be appointed a public defender. Our mitigation attorney can help those clients with administrative issues or with anything that's not necessarily criminal in nature. So we can help in that respect as well.
So is there any state mandate that requires all the circuit groups to fund that, or are we funding the whole thing?
I asked county council for that position about maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
I mean, I'm just trying to make sure that that this county is paying their fair share, not overpaying for other counties. And I want to go back to the vehicles for a minute. I was told that we are not legally required to provide vehicles to the department. And so you, in your budget, besides the fact that you have 12 vehicles that the county owns.
Actually, those vehicles are purchased out of our fund balance, and all monies are contributed to that fund balance.
I checked with finance,
Well, fund balance is Beaufort County money.
that's Beaufort County
Well,
money.
all of our money pours into Beaufort County. So the state money, and let me tell you that you are not my largest funder. The state gives us more money than Beaufort County. So all of our money goes into one pot, and that's here, Beaufort County. So the state's portion, Allendale's portion, Hampton, Jasper, Carlton, Beaufort, and also the municipal courts. So we have funding for municipal court through Beaufort as a result of the lawsuit, and we also have funding for magistrate court for Carlton County that they pay into our budget. So all of that money is compiled here and held in Beaufort County Trust. So we don't know how to separate, or we can't separate that money. We don't know how to say, okay, probably Allendale, because they don't give much of anything. But as far as the other counties, I can't say that I use Beaufort County money to buy cars for Allendale because I could have used state money to buy cars for Allendale.
Excuse me, I will say this. So if you throw the budget back up there, the spreadsheet. Okay.
Okay. Sorry,
That's okay.
that was it.
All right, right there. So the very top line, the very top line item is the state revenue. And it looks like the state's is proposed budget of $1,883,714. And if you go down to transfer in, it's $1,995,036. That is Beaufort County's portion. So even though we haven't been the largest provider of revenue, in this upcoming budget, we will be.
Yeah, because there's a 12% increase in your budget. So I'm just wondering if the cars are county cars, but you are providing here, you have vehicle insurance, vehicle lubricant, fuel and everything. And I was told that we are not obligated to provide the vehicles, but we're funding the expenses for fuel, lubricant, insurance, et cetera.
I cannot say that Beaufort County funds all of that money.
It's in this budget right here.
I can't say that Beaufort County is a source of all the funding. I'm saying that all of it is paid from Beaufort County. But that doesn't mean that we are using Beaufort County money to pay for gas for our Allendale, the cars that are in Allendale or Hampton or Colleton or Jasper. There's no way that we can, once the money is in the bank, I'm not sure how we can say the money came from Beaufort or the money came from Allendale.
So I guess my point is, we bought the vehicles, county, correct?
No, I can't agree that the county bought the, could have been state money to use the vehicles.
All right, we'll have to find out about that, Ms. Christmas.
It just
Because I
depends
wanna
on
make
which
sure
fund
we're
it was
paying-
taken from.
I just want to make sure we're paying our fair share and not more.
Absolutely, and I understand that as being a taxpayer in Allendale County. I most certainly understand that, and I don't think, and I have always said from the moment that I've been circuit defender, that I will not use Beaufort County funds for the other counties, because it's not fair. Should
Correct.
Allendale be able to pay us more? Absolutely. Have I tried for many years to get them to pay us more? Absolutely. Have I been successful? Not at all. But I do not, I mean, we even talked about maybe trying to build the counties. We've done everything that we could possibly do. Allendale, as a matter of fact, we look today, they haven't paid us this fiscal year yet. So, but there's nothing that we can do about it because they will not pay us. And so if they don't pay us the $5,000 every quarter, we're not gonna get it. But the state, thank goodness, their supplemental funds will cover Allendale County. When we went over this, I'm glad that you're asking this, because when we were changing over to the comp plan, that's one of the things that finance did with our office, is literally sat down, looked at all the salaries for all the employees, looked at the funding for it, because the state budget, our HR budget for the state, looks at the county's funding. And if I have an employee who makes more money than that county, that person can't be in that county, because I'm over budget in that county. So my first year as circuit defender, I wasn't aware of all that. And so I left it the way it was prior to me being a circuit defender. But when they explained to me that each county's portion, we can't go over budget in that, Amber Adams does a really good job now in making sure that we stay within budget. So we have a whole budget, we have a county budget, and we have a state budget. So the state will not allow us to go over budget in a particular county. I learned that the hard way.
It would be an ugly lesson, wouldn't it? So what if we don't provide you with the vehicles? Where's that money gonna come from?
I don't ask the council for vehicles. I've not asked the council
So
for
we
vehicles.
should not provide you 12 vehicles?
I've used that money from the fund balance. I did not ask county council for those vehicles. Those vehicles, I advised county council that we were purchasing those vehicles when we got, I think about 2 years ago, the state gave us money for 2 new investigators. Those investigators are circuit investigators, and they had to have vehicles. So we used money to buy those circuit investigators' vehicles. Because the other option is, and I stopped this, the other option is allowing them to claim mileage. And I believe several years ago, it was at least 32 cents a mile. And I'm not a micromanager. I'm not gonna get in somebody's personal car to see how many miles they drove. But if they tell me that they drove 500 miles a month and they're investigators, there's no way that I can tell whether they did that or not. So it'll be much more economical to provide cars than to pay mileage. And if they go to conferences, or when we have the public defender conference every year, no one gets mileage because each county has a car. So they understand that they have to take the county's car or they don't get paid mileage. So I do all of that to make sure that I am fiscally responsible with the funds and the monies of the citizens of not only this county, but this circuit and the state.
Okay, so my question is, if we took the county vehicles out,
I
how
would
you
use
make
state
it?
funding to buy county vehicles. The counties need them. Or if you would like, then I would not buy any more county vehicles, but I will pass that cost on to the county. And you don't know how much it's gonna be. Because my
Okay.
investigator, we represent the south end of Hilton Head as well. So if my investigator has to go from St. Helena to the south end of Hilton Head twice a week, every week, that's a lot of miles, and that's gonna be a lot of money. And I personally don't want indiscriminate amounts of money coming that I can't verify was actually used for what they said it was.
I guess a question for Ms. Christmas real quick is, so the 1.5 last year, the 1.9 she's asking for this year, are the vehicles in that cost? That, is there?
No.
Yes, the vehicles are in this budget and part of it is in our portion. But we may want to take a look at statute because I don't know if the county is obligated to even bear the expense of mileage reimbursement or vehicle costs. I don't know, we'll have to look
I mean,
into that.
why not?
I-
They have to travel.
Yeah, but the state statute says certain things, Mr. Glover, and I think we're only obligated to provide space, utilities, phone, certain things. I mean, I'm not saying we're not, I'm just saying we need to look at it to
But
make
why
sure.
wouldn't we want to cover their mileage if they have to travel? That's my question.
Because I think the state,
So we can't?
I think the state funds that,
No, the state
honestly,
does not
out
fund
of their
mileage.
portion.
The state does not fund mileage.
Okay, I don't know of any other county
I mean,
that
someone
has
called Columbia
vehicle
today prior to this
expenses.
meeting, asking for information from the state, supposing that it was for this meeting.
And I have no idea about that.
I received a call that someone from Beaufort County called to find out about the finances of the public defender's office.
So you will investigate that for us and let us know if it's state
Sure thing.
regulated to fund it.
Yeah, there are a lot of areas that we're looking at right now within the county that we're doing internal audits on just to make sure we're in compliance with certain laws and rules and regulations. And we have Christine Webb, she's our compliance director. She's in charge of that. So, we'll get back with you once we pull all that and get with legal and see what,
I don't want the public defender's office to be a burden to Beaufort County at all. We have a choice as to which county is our administrating county. And if you would like, or if it would be better for you, I could look into other counties to have them become our county, our administrating county, if you think that our budget is burdening the system. I will say that we don't receive as much money as the solicitor's office. They have always been funded higher than we have. We only, when we went to the compensation plan, were our attorneys even paid similar to what the solicitor's office did. And what did they, Duffy came right behind me and asked for an increase, so he paid his attorneys more. Even so, my attorneys don't go to conferences, my attorneys don't take trips. We don't do any, I pay for the gas in my car with my personal money. That's just how serious I am about taxpayer dollars. We're talking about people who don't make that much money, who have to pay taxes for us. We're already using their money to represent people who they probably don't feel like deserve attorneys. So I'm very sensible when it comes down to the finances of this office. I've been circuit defender since 2016. I have not spent any money inappropriately. I think one time when Jean died or somebody died, we bought flowers with the P card, and they told us that we couldn't buy flowers, and we stopped buying flowers with the P card. Amber is so strict on our employees that if they want to go to a CLE, I said, Amber, is it in the budget? If it's not in the budget, the answer is no. Because I feel like as a circuit responsibility, circuit defender, it is my responsibility to ensure that we stay within budget. I had to go off one time, I learned my lesson, I will not be over budget again, and I will not misuse taxpayer money, because I understand, it's hard. And nobody likes the RS, but I know taxes are how we survive. So I'm not gonna, and Allendale knows, I'm always yelling at Allendale. One of the county council members work in the courthouse in Hampton where my office is, and Amber got on him this morning for him to go to the county administrator and tell her, pay me my money. And he said he was gonna do that, but I take this job seriously, and I also take the finances of it and the personnel, all of it. It's something serious, and we're like a family, so I try to take care of my staff. I feel like that's my responsibility, to take care of my staff, but I would never overburden the county to do so.
We appreciate that. So I think Denise has some things to look into.
And let me, and I know York, will close us up with York going after me, because again, we're
I
overrunning.
hope you give me the same amount of time.
But you can take as much time as you
Did
want.
y'all say I had 15 minutes?
But,
Who's the timekeeper?
you're good. Let me, on your budget, just so I understand, and it's up on the screen right now. So the public defender's stipend is the 1.8 million. That's the very first line. Then we come down to the Beaufort County General Fund is the 1.9, that one right there. All right, so then the only other contributions you're getting is the 47030, which is the $848,000. Is that from the other four counties? Is it, or where's that money coming from there?
Yes.
That's the other four counties? Okay, so that's where you, so the vehicle's already in our 1.9 as part of our cost. There's no other monies coming in that we've got there. So I'm just want to figure that, okay. And then the last question I've got is, so we're the largest county of all 5 counties. Well, there's more cases here than any place else. What is our percentage compared to the other 5 counties of the caseload that you've got on a regular basis?
Thank you.
She didn't have that.
Do we know the?
Just him. You
I
if you
can
don't-
tell you that I have 7, I believe I have 7 attorneys in general sessions. 5 to 7 attorneys in general sessions, 2 in municipal court who are funded, I'm sorry, 1 in municipal court who is funded by municipal court. So municipal court funds their staff, their attorney, their vehicle, their admin. Then we have bond court, so there are 2 contract attorneys in bond court. One of the things that we have found across the state is that it's hard to get attorneys after COVID. I'm not sure where they went, but we can't find them. And so what I've done has been contracting with attorneys in the area to provide services for us. So that way I'm not paying the fringe benefits. So I'm trying to save a little bit of money by doing contracts. So I contract with 2 attorneys for bond court, 2 attorneys to do my conflict cases, to help with the caseloads. So since we couldn't find another body, another person, full-time employee, I hired or contracted with 2 private attorneys from Beaufort who does like the violent crimes. So that way, initially I had about 2 attorneys that did all my violent crimes. Now there can be 4 attorneys that do violent crimes. So we're helping with the caseload. So, let's see, Beaufort County has about 7, Jasper has 3, Hampton has 1, Allendale has 1, and Colleton has 3. So those are the number of attorneys that are physically located in each county. As far as the caseloads, I can get that to you. We can do a case count. We have a system
Doesn't have
that
to
we
be
use
exact,
called.
just something simple.
Well,
that
we use
takes
Defender
it-
data, and it can give you the number of attorneys, a number of clients each attorney has. So, and Columbia uses it all the time, so that's easy to do. We can get that to you.
Good, thank you. Mr. Glover, you can have as
Thank
much
you.
time as you want.
No,
Thank you.
what? I object.
You object? Oh, I, first, let me just say this. We talked about the public defender's office, and you came before us a couple of years ago, after the solicitor came before us, and we increased his budget without any hesitation, reservation, whatever. And you came behind the solicitor because you were losing employees. You were
Yes.
losing attorneys. And we sat down and we tried to accommodate you a couple of years ago to give you enough money to buy, I mean, not to buy, but to pay for attorneys. Because what you were paying, my daughter told me in Atlanta, that's below her salary and she's just a clerk. That's what you were paying your attorneys here in Beaufort. So we were able to increase those attorneys' fee. And we promised you at that time, because Hayes said, Mr. Williams said that we don't want to do a budget resolution in the middle of the year.
Right.
Increase it, and then you present it because you had enough money in your reserve.
Right.
Just like you have a fund balance, just like we have a fund balance, you have one as well. You had enough money in your reserve to basically make the compensation to those employees, and then we'll make it good in the new year.
Yes.
The new year never came for you. And
It
I
did not.
think what I'm hearing here is that you will, the $400 and something thousand would make up for that fund balance that you lost.
That's correct.
Okay, I think we owe that to you, period. Now, I would go as far as saying that, I don't know about because one of the comments I was told last year, I believe, was that you had a big old SUV vehicle. All of a sudden, transportation became an issue because you had this big old SUV, and I asked you about your SUV, that you basically said, I don't have one. I have basically,
I think it was was it a $70,000 or $100,000 car?
yeah.
One of the
I don't
things,
know,
I-
you told me you didn't have one, now I don't know whether you have one
we
or
can
not, but all
only
that can be
get
found out.
cars, and I'm not sure who's over the cars, the vehicles, but whoever it is very, very good about making sure that we stay in line. So we have to purchase whatever vehicle is on the state contract. And we can only purchase vehicles from the vendors that are on the state contract. So a couple of years ago, before Gene retired from Circuit Defender, he bought 4 cars. He bought 2 Explorers and 2 Ford Focuses and 5, and 1 Equinox. So this was in 2016. So we've increased the number of lawyers that we've had. We've increased the number of investigators that we have. And so we increased the number of vehicles. The Honda Pilot that I assumed when Gene retired, I think was like a 2003, 2004. The Explorers in Beaufort are probably 2015s, 2016s. And our investigator told me before we came in there, he's like, I need a new car. I'm like, council's not giving me money for cars, so you're not gonna get a new car. But I did call the shed to ask for a maintenance report on all of our vehicles. Before I became circuit defender, I'll say this, I was the lowest paid attorney in the public defender's office in any county. So for me, when my employees come to me and say, well, we need a raise, we need a raise, I'm thinking, are you kidding me? I made $55,000 before I was a circuit public defender. So I have to understand that the younger attorneys expect raises a lot more than the older, more seasoned attorneys did. And I think it's because the cost of living is different, and they're young, and they're starting their families, and so they need a comparable salary. So that is the only time that I've ever asked council for additional funds, is when my staff is saying, we're leaving. We're leaving because, you can't give us a raise. I've not been before this council indiscriminately at all. It's just been need-based. I mean, David worked for me a little while, so, you can tell that I'm cheap. Like, I was born in the 60s. I'm a cheapskate, so I'm sorry. I'm just not gonna spend money indiscriminately. But yes, I very rarely ask for anything unless my staff asks me for it, and that is the only time I'm gonna come to council.
What I desire, I think we did the salary. We just need to go ahead and replenish your fund balance.
Yes.
I hope council will see value in that. But I want to put at rest vehicles, because I don't think this should be coming up about vehicles and supplying and supporting transportation or traveling. I don't know where this is going, but it seemed to me that you have to travel, your employees have to travel, and we have employees as well. They travel. So I don't know where this is going, but I want to put this to rest. And I'm hoping that Ms.
We'll get the information.
Christmas can help us put this at rest, because this doesn't need to come up again and again and again. Thank you.
And I don't have as many cars as the solicitor's office does. The solicitor's office has, and I use the solicitor's office as a bar because I don't want.
That's a good bar to use.
Yeah.
Because we're comparable in what we do. Our jobs are comparable. And so I don't have as many cars as the solicitor's office. I have investigators that, want cars, and I'm not gonna give it to them because it's not fiscally responsible. I would not have purchased the 3 cars had we not been given state investigators who had to have vehicles, because those are the main investigators that come to Beaufort to work, the state investigators. So when I say state investigator, I mean state-funded investigator, because their salaries are funded by the state. So, and they don't question it. I've got a really good staff. If I call somebody from Colleton, as a matter of fact, our admin was short in Beaufort County. We had 1 person working, and she was frantic. And so I called Colleton. Actually, Amber called Nancy and asked one of the staff from Colleton to cover Beaufort so that we could have some help. And I'm glad that the staff that I have don't mind helping each other. And they've been very good about going wherever they need to and doing what needs to be done. So I appreciate it, and I applaud my staff for working hard, even when they don't feel like they're being paid as much as the solicitor's office or anybody else. But they still press forward, and they do a really good job for the citizens of Beaufort
So
County.
just to clarify, Mr. Glover, the 424,000 plus, that's a one-shot deal to your fund balance, or that's recurring every
That's
year?
So what we're asking for is for our budget to be 1.9, which
Yes.
would be recurring. Because
So
these
the
are the
424
salaries.
recurs,
Now, we would
yes.
not have had to get this $400,000 had not 3 years ago
You increased the budget.
I increased the budget.
The budget request is 4.727 million.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
I'm looking at this sheet, public defender, but fiscal year request is $4,727,523.
No.
I'm
That's our
just,
total budget.
yeah, I understand, but that's the increase.
That's all 5 states plus the state's
Yep.
amount.
It's a 12% increase.
But that,
It's the budget.
And I will say that our salaries are comparable to what Beaufort County does. One of the things that we talked about is not wanting to ask a lot of circuits, what are you paying your people? We want to be the forefront of paying comparable salaries so that we can recruit people to Beaufort County. And I don't, even when we gave the increases, this is just how frugal I am, and my staff, please forgive me. I didn't increase any of my staff to the highest paid portion. Some were minimum, some were middle, because I wanted to give them room to increase their salaries if need be. So we're not out here just trying to spend your money. We're just trying to stay afloat and be comparable so that I can stop. I think I have one attorney that just left that's going to Berkeley County, and one attorney that left that is going to a private practice. So, we're just leaving people because we can't pay them.
Okay, thank
And
you.
you providing a service to the least among us, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep,
Ms.
I'm
Christie
sorry.
said something, Dan?
any other questions from me?
Okay.
I object to any other questions.
Mrs. Marketing, thank you for coming.
you.
You've proven today why you are such a good defender in our public defender's office, so thank you for coming out today, and we will follow back up with some of those things.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next.
All right?
May I be excused?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
absolutely.
You've been on the hot seat too long, so we thank you so much. Let's move on now, and next up, we have Mr. Russell Baxley, the President and CEO of Beaufort Memorial Hospital. We appreciate your patience. I know last year we put you through the ringer. You came once and had to come back again the second time, so we try to get you up further on the list today. So again, thank you for coming, Mr. Baxley.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I don't know, who's driving the PowerPoint presentation? Okay, so I just tell
PowerPoint or
the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think they want to see the audited financial statements.
Okay.
All right,
Give me just a second to get it all set up for you.
all right.
Okay.
And I just, you'll click for them? Or right here, perfect, okay, all right. Thank you guys again for having me. I will try to work through the slides as quickly as possible and leave enough time for questions and answers at the end. But I won't go into a lot of detail about who we are. I think for the most part, council members know who Beaufort Memorial is, but we are 201 beds, not-for-profit, 200 physicians on medical staff, and over 1,800 employees. I'd also point out that we have the beds, the county's only inpatient psychiatric unit, an 18-bed adult mental health unit, as well as 10 operating rooms and 5 procedure rooms and 2 cancer centers. And you can see a number of the other services that we provide to the community.
Point it at.
What's that? Oh, right there?
Yeah, try to.
Not advancing.
Oh, no. Okay.
We're frozen.
Working just a second ago.
There we go.
There you go.
And you can go ahead and skip this slide anyways. This is just where we're at. These are the awards that we won. I will let you guys review this at your leisure, but they are numerous and just kind of validates the great care that we provide at Beaufort Memorial. Next slide, please. Oh, there we go. I got it now. I got the controls. Caring for 1,000 lives each year. So these are just the number of patients we see throughout the network. And I say the network, imaging centers, physician clinics, the ER, the ambulatory surgery center, the various and different buildings that we have. So all in all, we do about 600,000 patient encounters a year. So that could be an admission, an ER visit, a physician office visit, a surgery, a delivery, but it's numerous. And most of you probably know, because you probably hear it, doesn't really cover the waterfront either. We got a long ways to go, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the next slides. And our financials last year, so we spent about $303 million, and we made about $303 million. So we were basically a little bit better than break even, which was better than what we budgeted for, because we had actually budgeted with inflationary pressures as well as cuts to certain reimbursement through the federal government and other things to lose money last year, which would have been a first in my tenure here at Beaufort Memorial. But we did not. We broke even last year. So quickly through 2023 accomplishments, and I've lost the ability to drive again.
Okay, hold on. I don't know what's going on.
There you go.
Next slide, please. There we go. All right, expanding access to care. So I touched on the fact that at times we struggle to keep up with demand for healthcare services. We acknowledge and we realize that, but it's not for lack of effort. And so these are just some of the pictures of the providers we recruited new to the market last year. There's more, actually. We just can't fit them all on the same slide. But you'll see a breast surgeon, several primary care physicians, a pulmonologist, a medical oncologist, 2 psychiatrists, general surgeon, spine surgeon. You kind of get the pictures that we continue to try to recruit to add to the healthcare access to Beaufort County. Last year, we also acquired Hilton Head Imaging Center. That was a big acquisition for us as we try to grow on the island. If you live on the island, you know there's also a shortage of healthcare services there. We intend to grow that as part of our services on Hilton Head. Maybe I just have a bad battery.
Try it.
Oh.
There you go.
Last year, we renovated the hospital in a number of ways. We've implemented new technology, the Da Vinci Xi, which is minimally invasive robotic surgery for GYN, general surgery, urology, new MRI, new state-of-the-art cath lab. The tower got renovated, so to speak. Our patient rooms all got updated, new nurse call systems, new TVs, virtual whiteboards. All of these projects totaled last year an investment back into the Beaufort Memorial Hospital of about $7.3 million. And then our other big investment, which we've had multiple partners on to include the county, is our PATH program. But you can see we implemented many burnout mitigation platforms. We implemented a kind of Facebook for the workplace. And we're very proud that we helped 12 employees buy homes through down payment assistance program. We've already done 3 this year as well. So total 15 employees we've helped buy homes in the Beaufort County area. And then you can see the actual program itself. So we've graduated almost 40. The goal was about 60, so a little bit below the goal. But we'll graduate another 12 in this upcoming class in April. Total scholarships granted almost $100,000 in the very successful Rising Stars in Healthcare, which is our partnership with the Beaufort County School District, having high schoolers come through and rotate through all of the various healthcare departments, trying to raise interest levels in healthcare jobs as we move forward. Some of the other things that we've done over the last year that rarely get enough, I think, acknowledgement and publicity is we do have a patient transportation program. So last year, we have 2 vans that take patients to and from appointments. Last year, we transported about 1,800 patients that didn't have transportation, serving 26 zip codes, and that was represented 22,000 miles driven last year. These people typically are sickle cell anemia patients, they're chemo infusion, radiation oncology, people that need consistent and continuous visits back and forth to our various centers. Those 3 gentlemen work very hard to get their patients to their appointments. And then we do have a food insecurities program, so we prepare about 50 meals a day, every day, and deliver those to the food insecure. I like to joke that, believe it or not, Beaufort Memorial is the busiest restaurant in Beaufort County. We have a daily census of 110 to 120. We feed those people 3 times a day, as well as all of our staff and physicians and everything else. So we generate a lot of meals throughout the day. And so as we're doing that, we're also preparing and packing 50 meals a day to deliver dinner to those Beaufort, Port Royal, St. Helena Islands. And then some of the other opportunities that we have to serve the community, the Good Neighbor Free Medical Clinic, we're good partners with them. Now that we're also a part of the Hilton Head market, we serve them in the same way, but we donate all of our lab tests, imaging procedures, gratis to these free medical clinics, and Good Neighbor is on our campus, and we give them support in kind by charging no rent to them as well. Then you have the Sickle Cell Clinic and Access Health Low Country that just continues to serve the underserved and those that otherwise can't find access to affordable care. So our 2024 budget, you can see right there what our volumes are projected to be. We are going to see what we believe an increase across the board. We're going to see a minor decrease in surgeries, but that has to do with a new ASC in the area, our ambulatory surgery center. I'm sorry, I won't use acronyms. But ultimately, you're going to see, we again believe we're going to see 600,000 plus, about 650,000 patient encounters next year. And then our financials will go to about 329 in total revenue, with an operating profit projected of $5.178 million. So much more bullish this year than last year on how we're going to perform and operate in fiscal year 24. And just a reminder, our fiscal year is halfway over. We start in October and we end in September in terms of the Beaufort Memorial fiscal year. Currently, where we're at, so we sit a little behind budget. So I think the request was, show us how you're doing this year. So if I'm looking at this, and I know those numbers are small, I apologize, but we are supposed to be at 2.5 million. We're about 1.2 million in total profit, mostly because that's a miss on benefit expense. So we've seen an increase over budget of about $3 million in our benefit costs, mostly driven by health insurance claims. So if we were to be on budget and on target, we would act on benefit costs. We'd actually be ahead of budget this year, but because we've seen an enormous amount of large claims come through as an employer, we've paid those, and as such, we are well ahead of where we thought we would be this time in benefit cost. But overall, volumes are higher than where we thought. Expenses are in line. Yes, they're higher, but because volumes are so much higher than projected, we expect our expenses to be higher in wages and supplies, but the benefits are really what are hurting our financials this year. But so far, we're at $169 million in total revenue, and we're $167 million in total expenses. Our providers starting in 24, back to that theme of access to care, right? We've showed you a slide of all the providers who already started. These providers, they're, for the most part, are getting ready to start. You're going to see more pulmonology in Dr. Andrew Stevens, general surgery, Dr. Taylor Turnbull, urology. We're drastically short urologists in the area. We have Dr. Lou Remincy starting May 1st, another medical oncologist starting, and then a reconstructive plastic surgeon starting with us in August as well, and still recruiting for cardiology, primary care, urology, and gastroenterology in terms of what of our current open searches. And primary care is a constant search for us and stays open. Our nursing school, so we've talked a lot about our nursing school. We're going to talk a lot about the nursing shortage now, tomorrow, years to come. In South Carolina, it's a big deal. But more specifically, we hope to train more nurses. And so this is under construction. It will be complete in August. It's a partnership with the University of South Carolina, Beaufort, Beaufort County, as well as the city of Beaufort. But the goal is to train more nurses, open and double enrollment at USCB, and eventually start an accelerated nursing program. All in hopes of trying to fix that workforce shortage. That means nurses at the bedside. We have a lot of nurses going on to get their master's and doctorate, but what we're really short is nurses at the bedside, right? And that's what we're trying to find creative and innovative solutions for, which is this new nursing school. And again, it's about a $2.2 million project, and it will be completed this fall, August or July. Our child care center is currently under construction as well at the hospital. Unfortunately, Beaufort County has the distinction of having the highest child care cost in South Carolina. Shouldn't be that way, but it is. And so we are having to expand our child care. So we currently sit on Ladies Island. This center will be brand new, under construction, should be completed in August, and will go from a capacity of 60 children to 100 children. We still have to staff it, obviously. Again, rate limiting step seems to be staffing and across all things, but ultimately it'll be more convenient for our staff and more convenient for the kids, and help us continue to reduce the cost to be 50% or less what the normal child care cost is in the community. Other projects ongoing, crisis stabilization unit. So this is a renovation that will kick off in about a month and a half to 2 months' time in the ER. This is basically a psych obs unit. It will be 6 recliners in 2 rooms, and will also help us with the overflow of psychiatric patients who maybe aren't sick enough to be admitted, but aren't quite sick enough to be discharged. And so it's basically a 24-hour, 48-hour stay for psychiatric patients. Once established, we want to move into substance abuse as well in this unit. New angiography suite, so another interventional suite, and a new MRI on Hilton Head. So this year we'll be investing about $4 million in those projects at the hospital. And then the surgical renovation ongoing. So we're about 4 to 5 months into a $24 million project at the hospital, but ultimately this will add 2 operating suites to the OR, and we continue to see a need for more operating suites in the Beaufort area because we continue to see a need for more surgeons in the area. And then lastly, until I get into the request, there are currently several primary care projects underway. 2 renovation projects north of the Broad River, as we call it, so one in Port Royal and one in Ladies Island, and then another primary care project we'd like to move forward with down at the May River Crossing site on 170 going towards Savannah. If you know where the new Publix is, we currently have 1.4 acres under contract. The goal is to build a new primary care practice there, again, to try to meet the demand of primary care. And just of note, for every primary care physician we recruit, they can have about 2,000 active patients or active charts. So if you think of the growth and how quickly people are moving here, we still have about a 6-month wait list for a new patient appointment, even though we keep recruiting primary care providers. If we recruit 8, that's good for about 16,000 people. So you can see, even though we will recruit 8 and we'll try to get 16,000 patients new appointments, at the same time, that's still probably not going to be enough. So here's your physician needs analysis, because I continue to hear when I make the rounds of we don't have enough urologists, we don't have enough neurologists, we don't have enough primary care physicians, we don't have enough, we don't have enough. Well, we asked a third party to actually break up by kind of location or healthcare ecosystem, what is the shortage by area. And so if you take this and you look at Beaufort, St. Helena, Port Royal, Bluffton, Okatee, and then Hilton Head, we broke it up by specialty physician non-surgical, surgical need, and primary care need. And we did it again by each location. All in all, you have about 40 plus necessary over the next 5 years per locale, or 120 new physicians needed to cover the current projected growth as well as the current projected retirements of current providers in the marketplace. So there's a lot of work to be done to recruit the necessary physicians and APPs to otherwise see the patients that are calling my phone, calling the hospital phones, I'm sure calling you guys as well, asking what are you doing about healthcare access. Well, this is what you're going to need as the population keeps growing, and then some over the next 5 to 8 years. So one of the requests is going to be around the new hospital in Bluffton. We are about 5 to 6 years delayed due to several things. One, CON litigation. This has been challenged since about 2018, and it still somewhat sits in litigation, and I can go into those details if you would like due to the new CON legislation and the moratorium in 27 when it goes away. But ultimately, this project since 18 has gone from about a $50 million project to a $90 million project due to escalation, inflation, and other things. You can see it will be about 30 beds. It'll be 4 operating suites, 2 procedure rooms, full imaging center and lab. It will be designed for resiliency to climate change. So one of the things we're very proud of is when a hurricane comes, most people are calling Beaufort Memorial to say, are you open or closing? Because if we close, so does everybody else. So we intend to try to make this hospital more resilient, because if Beaufort Memorial does have to close, we would retreat to this hospital. It doesn't sit next to the water. We only sit about 15 feet above sea level, which means that if you have a storm surge of 20 to 25 feet, Beaufort Memorial cannot operate. This hospital, we think, could. It will have redundancy across all systems, generators, chillers, boilers, et cetera. We believe this will be more resilient to climate change. Total budget, as I mentioned, $90 million, $60 million construction, $20 million equipment, $10 million professional fees, total jobs created, 250 for $16.2 million in salary, wages, and benefits. And you can see the projected volumes there. So just the number of patients we'll see in the Bluffton, Okatee, Hilton Head area. But you can see, again, 150,000 unique patient visits, so to speak, at that new hospital. Our other request is going to be centered around affordable housing. So we have 3 projects currently in some various phase or stage of design, development, or approval. The first project is on our Okatee land. So if you know where our Okatee building is at the corner of 170 and 278, we have about 7-8 acres that we developed. We have more developable land there. We are partnering with Woda Cooper to try and build this through a housing tax credit program that will also have primary care and a second child care center. We would own the land. We would fund the build out of the first floor, which would be Beaufort Memorial space. Woda Cooper, as the affordable housing developer, would build floors 2, 3, and 4, and it would allow for about 70, what I have up there, 76 units, 70 total units that would range anywhere between 60 and 80% AMI. We're currently working with the city of Hardeeville for just kind of IMP at this point. The second project is a project at Buckwater Place near the hospital. We've been working with Jared and Hank and several others, Brittany, on potentially partnering with Woda Cooper the county and this project to also have medical, housing, as well as rehab-type facilities at this current location. Currently, this sits with the state as a housing tax credit application. On the scoring methodology, out of 30 applications for this go-around, we currently sit, I think, at number 14. There's still some more scoring to be done. Not real hopeful, but we continue to look at ways to innovate around this opportunity. I'm running out of time.
All right,
There we go. All right, project number 3. So these are the TCL homes. So if you recall, I believe that Beaufort County purchased 5 homes from TCL a few years ago. I have been working with, again, Hank and a few others, Brittany, to redesign what this space might look like. We have been paying Allison Ramsey to design this. We've gone to the city of Beaufort thus far, and they've approved this in concept. But essentially, this would be 29 2-bedroom townhome units, 4 3-bedroom single-family home units for a total project cost of about $8.3 million, or about $285,000 per unit, with a target cost of between $1,200 and $1,500 per unit in rent, meaning $1,200 for 2 bedrooms and $1,500 for 3 bedrooms. So last 2 slides. Let me get through it, I promise. So this is our previous funding. So last year, you asked that so what did we do with our previous funding? So we have been consistently getting about $800,000 in ongoing support for the emergency room, bad debt, charity care, as well as psychiatric care, $350,000 for the nursing school, the PASS program, and everything else. And then lastly, I believe through ARPA funding, we received $1.5 million for the eventual operations of the crisis stabilization unit in addiction medicine, as part of the grant and pilot program for the state. And so our ask this year are $800,000, so no increases in the operational support for the emergency room or district care. That stays the same. We would like the county council to consider helping us support some of these 3 affordable housing projects. We're asking $3 million there. And then lastly, for the Bluffton Hospital, $10 million. Happy to answer any questions. Did I stay on time about,
Any
roundabout?
questions? Ms. Brown, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Ms.
You
Brown.
said it's at the corner of Buckwalter and Bluffton Parkways. Well, Hampton Hall and Pinehurst is there, Pinecrest.
You talking about the new hospital?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So there is 14 acres that we own currently that sits right behind Publix. So if you look at the Bluffton and Buckwalter Parkway at the intersection, at the signal and intersection there, the one that is always at the route of the realignment project, we sit on that 14 acres off of Innovation Drive sits here, Buckwater Parkway sits here, and Bluffton Parkway runs parallel to our
So
land.
behind Publix,
Yes, right behind Publix.
near
Yes,
the
ma'am.
Putt-Putt Golf?
I'm sorry?
Near the
Yes.
Putt-Putt Golf?
Is there a putt-putt golf? I've not
Yes,
played there.
yes.
They're
Yeah, no.
pretending to build it.
Okay, all right. If not,
It's almost done.
so it would be right there.
Okay,
We,
so,
we,
yeah, it gives me an idea. Okay, now.
we currently
Thank
own
you.
that and have for a while.
Right, thank you.
I have a question for him. All these buildings like this one we're talking about, are you already approved for zoning?
Currently, the hospital was approved on initial master plan when we submitted for the CON in 18. We are resubmitting with a minor amendment to the IMP to town of Bluffton currently,
Yeah.
but we are currently in discussions with Bluffton to push this
So
forward,
you're
yes.
fairly sure you'll get the zoning change?
Yes, there's no concerns about zoning on either that project or even the project over, we've already met with Bluffton on the project, the May River
On
crossings
May
as well.
River, that was my next
Yes,
one.
already had 2 meetings with them initially, no concerns there.
So when you say you've helped 15 employees buy homes, what does that mean?
We've given $10,000 to each of those employees as down payment assistance.
Okay. I just was looking for the figure.
Yep, $10,000 per employee to help buy a home. So we did 12 last year, 3 this year, with another 3 applications, I believe, already under process. So the goal is actually, we budget $250,000 every year, actually. So we'd like to help more, but, obviously we need them to be able to move forward with their home purchase.
Any other questions online or anyplace else? No, seeing no more questions. Mr. Baxley, thank you for coming. I understand that you've just had your 10-year anniversary, so appreciate you being here for 10 years. Has it been 10 years?
It's been 8.
Eight,
It's been 8.
okay.
Yeah, but it feels like 20. So
Count that in dog years, that'd be 56. But
that would be
we're-
56. No, I've been here 8
But
years.
we want you to stay here 10 years and even 20 years. So thank you for everything you do. You do a great job in representing the county. And again, again, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the
Yeah,
time
thank
today.
you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on then. And next up is Mr. Rob Wells, the President and CEO of the Greater Beaufort Port Royal and Convention and Visitors Bureau. And Rob, if you just want to point out who else is here with you, supporting you, besides yourself?
So we have a board chairman, Christian Cato, and council appointment to the board of directors, Mr. Dick Stewart. And they are here in representation of the CVB. I will attempt to be delay until we get the PDF up. It's not, no pressure. We've got some time.
No pressure, none whatsoever.
You could ad lib till then.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So, real quick, I know that there's a lot of people, and we got probably up against a clock of some sort, so I am going to skip through a lot of the great success stories that we have. I've got them at the back of the presentation, just in case I get through it pretty rapidly. The best way you can indicate the success that the marketing and promotions activity has had in Northern Beaufort County is to really check your revenue streams from the accommodation, both at state and local accommodation tax over the last 5 to 10 years, and you'll see the success rate as the increase year over year to those revenue streams continue to increase. And that is the subject of today, as we're going to go through some of this budget. I may need some help moving it.
Okay, try it again. I think it's got something to do with me putting that time.
There we go. So the Greater Beaufort Port Royal CVB serves as the designated marketing organization for Northern Beaufort County as applied by the county. Our area is this beautiful landscape up here, and as we heard in our very first presentation, man, we got a lot of second home ownership that takes place in this county. Probably good for the school system, but also we've seen a record number of short-term rentals in our market, especially over the last, I'd say the last 5 to 10 years. We've seen that number balloon, especially since COVID. We're continuing to see those units climb and climb and climb in Northern Beaufort County, which alludes to the collecting aspect of it, and which I think in the unincorporated portions of the two portions of the county, northern and southern, that there's more units in Northern Beaufort County. Also, heading towards more, collections or revenues. So with that said, let's take a look at our budget. Now, I broke this down in little pie charts for everybody just because I'm a pie chart guy, and so bear with me. I hope everybody can read it. FY23, we had roughly an investment from the county of $440,000, making up about 43% of our total budget. You can see the rest of our funding streams right there as a percentage of breakup. If I go too fast, slow me down, and I can install a little bit more accent, and we can make this more palatable. But here's FY24 as it's budgeted. Similar budget. It's about $490,000 was a budgeted amount from the Beaufort County, and that does include both state accommodations tax and the local accommodations tax, along with some supplemental from grant money. Actuals will be in red, because I know that's a question that popped up. What were the actuals that come in? And through March 31st, our receipts from Beaufort County only make up 26% of the revenue that we've been able to come in with, and that's probably timing. I know was a delay in the approval of the state aid tax grants, which is, we know it's understood it's a timing. But you can see that commitment is about $225,000 at this time, that investment. And that's because the county does disperse tax, state accommodations tax, and the local accommodation tax, the dedicated funding on a quarterly basis. So that's why you see half of it being supported at this time. The way that money is spent is we break it down into these areas. So marketing and promotions, that is where the vast majority, over three quarters of our money is spent. You're looking at ads, publicity, ad creation, website, those type of things, the digital placements of ads, the things that we basically more or less are tasked to do. But see, other parts of the pie is just as important. Visitor Services handles everything from our visitor center located at 713 Craven Street at the Beaufort Historic Arsenal, but also deals with fulfillment. And we get a lot of requests for people asking for more information. And maybe that's through a visitor guide, maybe that's through pamphlets, maybe that's through just a dining guide of some sort. That's visitor services fulfill those for us. Operations there, that covers your basic, your lighting bill. We won't cover too much of that, but sales is the 9%. Now, for us, sales is a pretty new venture for us over the last 5 years, especially since we became an independent convention and visitors bureau. We have spent a lot of time diversifying how we attract people to our area, not just through leisure travel and through promotion, but through recruitment, through small market meetings, reunions, weddings, and of course, sports tourism, which we continue to see some growth in that activity. Personnel, this question comes up. I know it was on the sheet that they sent out. I'll just show you right now that our personnel makeup is about 33% of our budget. DMOs, or destination marketing organizations of our size, that percentage share is usually in between 38 and 42%. And as you can see, that we come in there at 33%. We are a full-scale wake up in the morning tourism outfit. We think about tourism. When we go to bed, we think about tourism. That's what we do. That's our task and our charge. And my team does a very good job of putting not only northern Beaufort County, but the area in the forefront. And we have some great stakeholders and great partners that make that up. 25 is going to look a little different. The budget request, as it states right now, we are funded through the state 2% accommodation stack. So as revenues increase in that or decrease there, that will dictate the funding. In early conversations with our partners from the southern end, we kind of feel like that state 2% number is going to be somewhere around 215. It might be a little bit more, it might be a little less at this current thing. The good thing for Beaufort County Council is that the state will dictate, let you know what that number is, and then you have a formula built in for how that's spread out through your equal share disbursement. And then you got state 2% ATAX grants to be determined, right? We'll figure out what that pot of money is and what that ask and request will be. Of course, we all know what the local 3% ATAX did last Monday. That has been removed from the dedicated funding. That was the ordinance that was in there, probably about 15% of our budget. And then, of course, the local 3% ATAX grants also to be determined. I know that you guys have some questions and answers to fulfill there on whether that's going to open back up. And it's something that we, as an organization, have not participated in, but something that we're definitely going to have to take a look at going forward. So that is our budget going forward. Happy to take any questions. I can also move into some great success stories if I got some time to kill. I am way ahead of time, right?
Yes.
Right? All right, good.
I want
Yep,
to,
got questions?
if you would please, for the audience that's watching and anybody in the audience, our state ATAX funds, you have told us that 78% is from northern Beaufort County. Can you just discuss that a little bit?
Certainly. So based on our some of our data collecting sources and some of our properties that are in northern Beaufort County, we're able to take a look at their revenues that they generate over year, and then compare that with what the state is remitting back to the county from a state 2%, and we're able to possibly put together that, okay, here's the revenue share from northern Beaufort County, and this is only from the unincorporated portions of it. It's not has nothing to do with the city of Beaufort or town of Port Royal or any of the other municipalities in the county, because we know that each of those municipalities will collect those or remitted those funds, and then they disperse them in their accordance. And so for northern Beaufort County, we see the number of units. There's more units now. And I think that has also happened because of Palmetto Bluff was annexed into the town of Bluffton, or city of Bluffton, and some other things that have moved over through annexation has removed those from the unincorporated portion. And we've seen a large increase in short-term rentals, St. Helena, Ladies Island, and also Fripp and Harbor Island. And of course, Hunting Island State Campground is also a portion of that.
And when we give out the ATAX grants, do any of those grantees collaborate with you for marketing and so on?
I will say some do. Some do. They're not.
Half, maybe, a third?
I'd say a third, for sure, especially in the northern part. It's kind of baked in to the northern portion of the county, mainly because in other ATAX and supplemental grants that we request and those processes, you see that in the proposal for that grant, you get points for working with the DMO and having the DMO put together, best practices for strategies of where to place those ads. And a lot of those comes like, Councilman Bartholomew asked me last year, how do you know when you're duplicating efforts or duplicating ad buys? Well, that's things that will happen, but we work to mitigate some of those by saying, hey, here's where we're gonna be, here's our plan, here's our strategy behind it, here's some concepts, some places that you should look, here's some markets that, you should probably target, and if there's anything we can help put together for a data standpoint, we'll make that happen. And then, recently, we've been assisting our festivals and events and attractions with kind of finding out what their visitor to resident ratio mix is for attractions, what comes in the gate or in the ticket. And then helping them identify, okay, we had this many people from this portion of the upstate. That's a market that loves history, loves heritage. Maybe that's something we can target going forward. It's just being a better partner going forward. So long-winded answer to a short part, not as many as we'd love, but the ones that do, you can tell by the way that they present and act in their grants.
So going forward, when we give ATAX grants awards, we could highly suggest they work with the CVB to get a better bang for their buck.
Sure. I think that'd be a wise move, just because the DMOs in general have data at our disposal that we can share. I think we're willing partners across the board with our stakeholders, especially the attractions. You see a lot of them, and they may not have the funds. So their $10,000 ad budget has to do what it's supposed to do and target well. And they get inundated with a lot of people selling ads. Hey, we can place you here, here, and here. And that may be great advertisement, but it may not be what's best for them and their festival, their event, or their attraction at the time. And we can, provide counsel, if needed, yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, two things. One, I just want to clarify, it's a little blurry in here, in the backup material. You're a 501c3, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
And so you have no membership base, anything, you're literally just funded through us and other governments and entities?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I heard some numbers thrown out there, for every dollar that you receive, how much does it get amplified?
So for us, it's $11 for the
So
county. That's
one-
correct.
$1 from us gets amplified to 11.
That's right. You hand $1, we return 11 back through the accommodation.
That's amazing. Thank you.
And that's without taking into consideration business license, property taxes, and some of those others that are attributed to the short-term rentals and overnight accommodations as well.
Any other? Yes, Larry, go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed that Mr. Stewart's in the audience. He made a presentation to us Monday at the council about the possibility of perhaps generating some revenue from short-term rentals. And I wonder if you could impose upon him to come forward and give us that presentation again, perhaps a little more detail.
Sure. We'll give you your time after.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, he's part of the team.
Always a pleasure to be here, Larry. Didn't know I was going to be speaking, but thank you for the opportunity. What I referred to last week is that there's some software packages that are well-known and used throughout the country that will go out and interrogate the databases and the advertising for short-term rentals and compare those to your business licenses and what you're collecting from short-term rentals. And that we think those numbers in the county have grown very rapidly, and the clients who come here and stay in short-term rentals often ask if they're licensed and paying taxes, and they say that they are because many of them believe that they are. But in fact, the last time we had an analysis done was a couple of years ago, and that indicated that the county was missing out on somewhere between $800,000 and $1 million in ATAX revenues that you would be receiving if you captured all of those short-term rentals using that sort of software. The numbers would indicate, and we went through this with staff, but you had a lot of turnover and stuff, so this was making progress to come to you. It's not like this is news. But since you're looking at this budget carefully, now's a good time to do that. But the amount collected would far exceed the amount it would take to purchase and operate the software. Now, you do have an issue in that if the software says somebody is doing this and they're unlicensed, somebody probably needs to go out there and see if they're actually operating that facility as well as licensing it. The other piece of this, which adds some additional opportunities, one of the major marketers of short-term rentals has an agreement with the state of South Carolina, as they do with some other states, that they collect ATAX funds for the short-term rentals in Beaufort County and remit them to the state, Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department. Then the state does what they feel is appropriate and send the amount to Beaufort County that they think is appropriate. I'm sure they are exactly right and fair and above board in every case, makes no mistakes. But just in case they did, there are some agencies and entities, some in the state, who have either taken or threatened legal action to make sure that that accounting is done in a reasonable fashion. No one, to my knowledge, has sent any money back to the state because they feel like they've been overpaid. That may have happened, but I haven't heard about that. So those were the two things that I was specifically referring to the other day. And I'm your appointee on the board of the CVB, and the CVB has an appointee from Town of Port Royal, City of Beaufort, and Beaufort County, because they're your partners in funding to do this, and these are things we've been looking at. Rob is in an interesting position that he likes to have great accommodation and great events. So I'm here with a slightly different number on that. Thank you. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
Can he give the software name to our staff to maybe investigate?
Good. Thank you, Mr. Stewart. And any other questions for Mr. Wells? Or anything you'd like to add, Mr. Wells, to,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just ask you one
Mr. Glover, go
question.
ahead.
Mr. Wells, what kind of feedback do you get from visitors?
Yeah, that's a big question, because it rose from one of the most majestic, beautiful places they've ever been to, we wish that we had a better experience at, say, dining, if it was more, Open Table was more used as an app at some of our local restaurants. So it missed it, but we did some surveying and did some research, and here's what we found. That almost 88% of the people who come to northern Beaufort County are looking access to water. So first off, coastal destination, of course you would think that would be the case. The second thing was history and heritage. It was a high expectation, but the experience level has not quite met what those expectations are. And we're in that the visitor experience has to be greater than the visitor's expectations in order to have repeat visitation. And so we have championed and worked with some partners in the past to develop a system that will help identify some of these attractions, some of these heritage sites that could be improved. We'll give guidance to those who help fund those improvements to make better choices, or at least choices that make the visitor more accommodating when they come. So it can be as simple as upfitting parking or public restrooms.
Sure, and I want to follow up on Mrs. Tabnack, question about feedback. Do you share feedback with the event holders?
Absolutely. When it
was really expected, more was expected of them, et cetera, or they did a great job?
Both, especially so just for example, Heritage Days out of Penn Center did a great job. One of the feedback that we got in the thing was their outreach was limited, the way that they went out about the projection of the event. And so you almost had to run into it on the print side of things. But they spent some money digitally as well. And so the digital response was very good. They also ran into public seating. Public seating was a problem. They weren't known to tell to bring stuff like that we feedback. And that's some basic stuff, but that's some things we can provide.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, real quick, kind of going off the feedback, do we have any formal process in place to evaluate at least the county held services or parks, accommodations? Something that we can get a formal response back from a survey done that we can then evaluate it and see what needs to get done to improve an area or things that need.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a county space particular thing. I do know, and I've referenced it already, is there some time ago there was an independent group, I think it was USCB. Some students went out and did an assessment of those attractions and different sites, and were able to give a rating based on that. And so what that does is it allows you to kind of understand. But as far as particular sites, like Fort Fremont or whatever, I don't know if there's a standard collecting.
Well, going to that USCB program, is that something that's continuing, or is that?
I don't think it has not continued since it was implemented. It was done for a specific time frame. It was collected, and while I want to say it was shelved, that's where it sits currently.
So do you think if we get that going again, whether it be through USCB or something through your organization?
I think the model's there, and I think there's an opportunity to really help evaluate, especially when you get a lot of people passionate about their particular endeavor. Having an independent, people who understand kind of how a visitor would look at it or how people would use it, that assessment and ranking does help.
And I feel like that would help us make smart
Yep.
decisions on where to allocate funds.
You're you're the investor. I would look for all the information that I can make to make wise investments.
Right. Thank you.
Yep.
Good, all good questions. Anything else from Mr. Wells?
I'm almost out of water, so,
That's it.
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Wells, thank you for coming. Appreciate that. Great presentation as always. So again, thank you for coming out today. Let's move on then. And this is Ms. Ariana Pernice, and she is the Vice President of Visitor and Convention Bureau, and that's for the Hilton Head Island Bluffton Chamber of Commerce. And Ms. Pernice, if you can just tell us who's also with you today.
Yes, sir. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me again. I'm Ariana Pernice with the Hilton Head Island Bluffton Chamber of Commerce. I oversee the Visitor and Convention Bureau. With me today, we have Ray Deal, our controller, and Katie Cacciolo, who is our Director of Marketing. So together, hopefully, we can answer all questions. But first, we'll go through this presentation, which is looking back at 23 and then telling you our plan for fiscal year 25. We'll jump right into it. Oh no, should go down. There we go. As the DMO for Southern Beaufort County, the Hilton Head Island Bluffton Chamber of Commerce is charged with driving awareness and connecting visitors to the destinations in our communities as well as our businesses. The vision of our efforts is a welcoming, world-class community, embracing nature, culture, and economic vibrancy for residents and visitors, with a mission to stimulate the regional economy while enhancing the quality of life for all. This is a tinier slide, and I know it's hard for the audience, but again, I think you can see it on your screens in front of you. We just want to show you about the governance that we have and oversight. As the Destination Marketing Organization, or DMO, we have the County Council and Finance and Administrative and Economic Development Committee. Even this is hard for me to see from this far, I apologize. We do an annual independent audit. Also, we have state oversight as well as our Turk Committee. We are an accredited organization, both from the U.S. Chamber and Destinations International. And then we also have our Board of Directors at the Chamber of Commerce, and then we also have our Marketing Council. So we're looking back at the year of 2023, since we are mid-fiscal year. So if we're looking back, when you look at our media mentions, and we'll get into this a little bit further when we talk about our public relations, but people are talking about us. And why we think this is so important is, you know, we can shout from the rooftops and we have all of our tools in the toolkit that are working really hard for us, but really it goes so much further when others are also talking about us in the media. And that's what you see here. It's just a quick little snapshot of things that happened over 2023 between recognizable brands such as Travel and Leisure, Southern Living, Essence, The Rob Report, Garden and Gun. Those are things that we like to hear because it's their audience shouting from the rooftops that they love our destinations. We have a virtual front door, and when you think about that, many have a brick and mortar. And though we do have our offices both in Bluffton and on Hilton Head, we have that virtual front door, which is our website. So Visit Bluffton and Visit Defusky took in over 402,000 visits, and we shook hands from our visitor or potential visitor to the businesses that serve both in Bluffton and on Defusky, 81,000 handshakes. And that's really our goal, right? We are at the top of the funnel talking about these destinations at all touch points and really drawing in the qualified potential visitor to meet and discover these destinations and the businesses that support those destinations. We also are working very hard on the social media component. As we all know, social media is the place to be across all channels. And we had over 43,000 followers on total across all of our channels with the 3.9 engagement rate. So those are people who are liking your brand, giving it a little thumbs up, a heart, or they're acting with a comment within your social media piece. And what we're going to talk about a little bit later is what people are doing on social media. So much has changed since COVID and really just using social media and technology. People are actually booking trips off social media. That sounds foreign to us, perhaps, who are a bit more traditional in our efforts, but through social media with our younger generations, we are seeing that is a trend that's happening and probably a trend to stay. When you look at the heads and the beds, what is driving the accommodation tax? That's our most important piece of this conversation, right? So we're bringing people in as qualified visitors to the website, but ultimately we want to see them planning their trip, booking their trip, and coming to enjoy the destinations. And so what we see here, if you take into account the hotels, our occupancy was up 13% the year prior. At 69, just over 69%. The average daily rate, ADR, was down 13.2, which made for a combo of the RevPAR being down 1.9. Not dramatic at that 1.9%, but something we are watching. And really, to give you context, when you're looking to the left and right, other destinations of our neighboring destinations of ours to the left and right have 2 times the amount of hotel rooms that we have at varying different price points. And so there's a few more options when we're going after our desired visitor set. We offer them a price point that might look a little different than, the average $89 rate. We're not offering those rates within our area that we're focused on. So we're going after a qualified visitor with a certain household income, and we're bringing them through that funnel. And then also taking into account inflation, and then also just the option to travel to all places across the world, because that is what's happened post-COVID. Is now everything is now open and people have choices. So again, not dramatic swings, but things that we're watching and making sure that we're shouting our brands from, top of the roof. Sorry?
What's the 1.9, the acronym REVP?
Revenue per available room, sir. So if you
Okay.
take all the rooms available
got you.
every night,
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Do you have that data for Defusky? I mean, that's Bluffton. That's not unincorporated Beaufort. Do you have any data for Defusky, which would be unincorporated Beaufort?
Yeah, we can break it down a little bit further, and I can get that information for you. I don't
Because
have it
that's
for
what
you.
we're interested in. These are our ATAX dollars?
Yes.
And you heard Mr. Wells say 22% is south of the Broad? That would be Defusky, correct? Mostly. There's not
Mostly.
much
There's
else there.
unincorporated outside of that, but yes.
So we're interested to see how you're spending our ATAX dollars to support south of the Broad, Defusky particularly.
Yes, and that has been our focus, and so those are those short-term rentals that we're talking about, and so we can look to find that detailed information for you and report back. Absolutely.
Try it. There you go.
Got it? This is our regional vacation planner, and I have brought that to you a couple different times. It's a beautiful coffee table piece, and we produced 2 of those. One is the larger regional book, and that is the 80,000 or so units that we produce. And then we have the Bluffton book as well, which incorporates Defusky on both aspects of that detail. We have done long-term media buys with Gardening Gum. What I mean by that is we have built strong relationships with their readership, and we have gone forward with them in terms of promoting south of the Broad and talking about the Low Country, and bringing people here to this destination to southern Beaufort County. And these are those PR mentions that we talked about, 108 mentions. Again, those are things that are earned from our efforts. They're not paid for. So when you look at what that value would be, and Charlie Clark and her team do a wonderful job of building those relationships within these publications, and they're talking about the Low Country at length, which is wonderful to see. Looking forward, we have taken a focus on these 6 areas of interest: Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor, History, Culture, and Arts, Natural Historic Register designations, Natural Beauty, Waterways and Parks, Local Culinary and Local Market Experiences, and Festival and Events. The desired demographic that we target skews a bit more female. They have a household income of $150,000 to $250,000 plus. They have an undergraduate degree or higher. They have a propensity to travel. And then we look a little further into what really spurs them to travel. So do they have a propensity to travel for luxury? Are they younger? Do they have a family? Or do they stay within the regional area to focus on their travel? That toolkit that I talked about, these are all the tools that we have working every single day, 365 days a year that help us talk about the Low Country. And when we say that, it's really because if you even think about your own consumer trends and how you transact, it really is that you are being bombarded with different brands and different opportunities. And so when we look at how we have to market the destination, we have to cut through all of that noise to get that couple of seconds of opportunity to talk to you about our brand. And when we do that, we have to use a series of tools where in the past, and I'd say several years ago, you could do a singular effort on a print ad, so on and so forth, where it was just a one-time effort. Or maybe you do every other month or twice a year. You can no longer do that from a brand's perspective. You really have to saturate the consumer with your brand using all different types of tools. So our overarching goal is to bring the qualified visitor into southern Beaufort County, Defusky Island, and the town of Bluffton. And when we talk about that, those are those 5 goals underneath. For the essence of time, those 5 goals I've broken out to show you examples of different ways that we would do that. I'm happy to go through them, but I can also get to the budget part of it because I know you've had a chance. This was submitted back in March, and we've updated with Ms. Valerie since, but just wanted to talk to you about the broader scope of the budget request. It's the 2% of the, the 30% of the 2% as the DMO that we were allocated for Southern Beaufort County. However, this does not take into account the adjustment made last Monday of the $150,000 that we received. So know that this will have to go back and just remove that $150 from the total request of $365, I believe is right there. So that will bring our total down to $215 to promote unincorporated and specifically Defusky. So what does that paring down look like? As an example, we would just take that projected budget that you see on your left, my right. We would just take that down to ensure that 365 and forgive me, yes, 365 reflects a 215. So we'll have to shave down some of those efforts that you see in that column.
What is your full budget for that, your organization?
Yep, you can have radio.
You can just give me a ballpark.
All right, for the record, Ray Deal, controller at the Hilton Head Island Bluffton Chamber of Commerce. Our entire budget, and that includes, we're one organization with 2 divisions. The Chamber Association is about $2 million. The VCB is about $10 million. So the overall marketing budget is about $10 million, of which Beaufort County's was about 3.5% historically.
Mr. Chairman, just one quick question.
Yes, Mr. McKellen, go ahead.
On the Bluffton vacation planner fulfillment, could you just give us an idea what's caused that graph to rise like that?
Get that broken down. Not quite sure which one you're looking at, but I will go back to my fulfillment slide. Give me 1 second.
Well, it's the budget slide, it's the budget.
Oh, the
It
budget
just said
slide. Sorry,
Bluffton
excuse me.
Vacation planner fulfillment.
Yes. So do you want to speak to the fulfillment piece, or do you want to give them the breakdown of how it was done? But
So there's three major components of the vacation planner fulfillment. That is printing, the publishing and printing the book, as well as fulfilling it, as in sending it, mailing it out to people who come to the website and request a vacation planner. We also take our vacation planners to AAA offices and other places and state welcome centers and other places that wish to display it.
What other areas have a vacation planner like that?
Well, that's a great question. It varies destination to destination, but they vary from a digest size to other sizes, and we have committed to the coffee table size based on the consumer we're looking to bring forward to the destination and the type of product and pieces they're looking for. And Ray mentioned too, just the cost of paper has gone up with inflation, the cost of mail has gone up, so there are costs that have been incurred just based on the inflation year over year. We have not increased the pages of the book, and we have not increased the amount that we're ordering year over year. Those are going to be around the same.
So is it safe to say that Hilton Head does not have one of those, but that they may be included in your regional planners fulfillment?
There are two, if I understand your question correctly, there are two books produced. We have the regional book, which is Hilton Head, Bluffton, and Defusky, and then we have the Bluffton book, which is Bluffton and Defusky as well. In that.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep, go, David.
I'm gonna ask the same question that I asked the Beaufort CVB. What is your entity status? I know they submitted paperwork that said 501c3.
501c6.
C6?
Yes,
And C6 is a membership-based nonprofit, is that correct?
correct.
How much do you generate from your membership dues?
That's a great question. I'll have Ray here.
Sorry.
Ray's just gonna come and sit next to me right
Sorry.
now. No, it's okay. I just wanna make sure that we get the right question.
So as I said, the total association budget is about $2 million. Membership dues make up about $800,000, and that's about $100,000 in new dues every year and $700,000 in continuing dues.
And then my next question, once again, the Beaufort CVB, they attached their IRS Form 990 and supporting documentation along with an independent auditor's report. Has any of that information been submitted to the county?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I haven't seen it yet. I was just
It's
curious
not
about that.
included here.
Yes, yes, we submitted it along with the,
Okay, gotcha.
yes.
Thank you. I guess it didn't make its way over to me. So thanks.
We submitted everything to Ms. Fowler?
Thank you all. Thanks.
Yeah. That
All right,
was done on March 1st.
any other questions? Seeing no questions, Ms. Priest, thank you for coming. Appreciate
Thank
you
you for
being here.
having me.
Wonderful presentation as usual. So again,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
and
Have a
everyone else
wonderful
from
afternoon.
Hilton Head Chamber. All right, let's continue to move on here. And next presentation, and this is Dr. Richard Goff, from President of Technical College of the Lowcountry. Mr. Goff, how are you today? Thank you for coming out.
I'm fine,
Pleasure-
Mr. Chairman, and
pleasure to
thank
see
you for the committee to let me speak for a moment. I want to bring my two vice presidents up here, and I want to thank Mr. Glover especially today. He's looking sharp and looking good, and I want to just thank him for a chance to come and talk.
I have no money today, man.
No, well, then I take it all back. And by the way, happy 15th, April 15th, tax due day. Not a happy day for some. I have two vice presidents with me today. I have my Vice President of Administrative Services and Business, Nancy Weber, in the back, and I have my Vice President for Advancement, Mary Lee Carnes. As far as they know, they're my two favorite vice presidents. We're going to talk to you very quickly about the same things everybody else has talked about, what we've done this past year, some things that's really good that's happening at the college. There are many good things. We'd like to convince you, again, how good of an investment that TCL is for Beaufort County. And then we're going to, of course, talk about a little bit of some of our plans for the future. So, Mary Lee Carnes, please.
Ms. Carnes, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Chair Lawson, Council. It's always an honor to be in front of you. Also physically in front of you, there is a copy of this presentation, and there's also, we were asked to respond to 5 what was described as very important questions. And so we put those in writing, and those are with you. I thought we'd go through the presentation first, and then we can respond to questions, if that pleases the council.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see if I can drive. Yes. So just briefly, reminding all of us kind of what the Technical College of the Lowcountry does, what we do every day. That's higher education, it's workforce development, it's economic development, and that leads to quality of life. In education and workforce development, we serve the traditional student, and we also serve the working learner. That all leads to workforce development, that all leads to economic development, and that improves the quality of life within our individuals, within our businesses, and within our communities as a whole. We pride ourselves on that we have measurable impacts. We are targeted. We have almost 3,000 students, and that number is growing. It's up for fall 2024. 91% of our students are low-country residents, and about 18% are a combination of active duty veterans and their dependents. We're local, as we're intended to be. What all community colleges do is we serve the local community and the local economy. 73% of our students are residents of Beaufort County. And you see the breakdown there, 9% are Jasper County, 8% from Hampton, and 4% from Colleton County. There is a delta there, and that would be the active duty who have other residences. We have 96% graduate placement, and that again is a sign that we're doing what we are supposed to do, and that is putting individuals into our local workforce in jobs that are available here. 96% of our graduates go into that workforce. Those who don't go on to continue their study, many of them on to four-year institutions. And we're proud of our annual economic impact, and the number that you see in the arrow was done in fiscal year 17-18, and that's $130 million a year annually. That has increased. That is EMSI did that assessment before we built the culinary school, and it's been operational now for over 2 years. Their estimate now with the culinary school is our annual economic impact is $155 million. And as long as we keep growing, that impact keeps growing. Our highlights, just for 2023, top of the list, Technical College of Low Country and Beaufort County School District. We have announced, I hope you've seen that announcement, that press release, the Tides High School Dual Enrollment Program. Now, this is different than the dual enrollment that you are accustomed to thinking of. This is dual enrollment that will be taking place on our campuses. At the New River campus, the program will start with 50 ninth graders who have tested into the program who will be starting at the New River campus. They are a dedicated cohort. There will be a member of Beaufort County School District in our facility. They will continue through and graduate with a high school diploma, possibly an associate's degree, and a certificate. We're also doing that at the Beaufort Mather campus. So starting again in both will start in fall 2024. A cohort beginning of 20 students will be on our campus at the Beaufort Mather campus with the same opportunity. Many of you came to the ribbon cutting of the hub. We were able to renovate historic Moore Hall and create it as a one-stop shop for all our students. It's putting student service first and make it as easy for the student as possible, advising, financial aid, anything that they need is in one location. We like to boast that this year we were the first South Carolina Technical College to earn a special veterans designation. And if you haven't seen the Maverick Military and Veterans Resource Center, please do come by and see it and meet Jack, the dog, who's everyone's favorite. Of course, you know about the cybersecurity program that opened and the SOC, the Securities Operations Center. And I think we have our designation now.
It's moments away.
It's moments away, which is something that everyone's been working towards. That program has just taken off. We have about 100 students in that now. And as that program grows, it will grow across the county. It's not an either or, northern Beaufort County or southern Beaufort County. It's a both and. The college chartered the Tri Alpha Honor Society, and that is recognizing first-generation students. And as a community college, we have a significant population of first-generation students. We like to honor their grit and be the ones that they are paving the way for the first, as being the first in their families. We opened a Colleton County satellite campus last September, and this is in partnership with the Colleton County Adult Education Center. And so for the first time, we are now physically present in Walterboro and have a part-time person there. And South Carolina, our delegation allocated $10 million towards the Arthur E. Brown Regional Workforce Training Center. And we want to talk about that in another slide or two. Annual millage impact. First, I would like to call my typo. I apologize. It's for the year ended June 30th, 2023, not 2022. So please correct your sheets. But you had asked for this, particularly how we use the millage that Beaufort County provides to the college. And also that your parity, that you support USCB. It's very important, as you can see. It is important to the regular operations of the college. What we're here today is we want to ask council for a $7.5 million commitment for the construction of the Arthur E. Brown Regional Workforce Training Center. The cost of this construction is estimated to be $20 million. The cost of the project is $26 million. We're only looking for the cost for the construction, and we're asking for the commitment of the funds that can be distributed over multiple years. At this time, as mentioned, we have $10 million from the state of South Carolina. The college is putting $2.5 million of our resources in, and we're asking the county for $7.5. And why this is important. This empowers the college and therefore empowers the community for us to expand our programs, which, and I think last time we were here, John O'Toole and the Beaufort County Economic Development Corp was here with us. This is important in order for current business, to retain current business, to expand current business, and for emerging new businesses. This gives us the opportunity to bring in programs like supply chain logistics, growing our business programs, to marketing, growing our accounting program, computer technology, including robotics, electric vehicle technology is also within that category. Advanced manufacturing, within that advanced manufacturing is composite materials, which goes across marine to aviation to automotive, electrical, mechanical, all come under that advanced manufacturing label. The building gives us 50,000 square feet to expand, and it's important to note that it will be sitting on our New River campus next to that Angus Cotton building, where the Beaufort County dual enrollment students will be living and learning. As they come up that pipeline, they will be walking right across the street into getting those workforce certificates. AMSI did analysis for us, and it was I think 1819. They did the analysis for the Regional Workforce Training Center, and their analysis suggests that of the 850 new students that would be coming to the college because of the Regional Workforce Training Center, 12% will be coming out of the Low Country in order to come to these programs. That's about 102 new students into Beaufort County every year. And we know from the other fun fact that when they come into this county, we have almost a 75% chance of keeping them here and building our workforce. And workforce is a warm body issue. The more people we can get into the Low Country, into Beaufort County, is how we grow our workforce. The more we can keep our graduating students here, providing them with the programs, the education, the training that they need, the more we grow our workforce. The economic impact of the Regional Workforce Training Center, the estimate was an additional $4 million each year, and that grows as the enrollment grows and as the number of graduates grow in the program. The last slide is just some references and resources, and with that, may we take your questions?
I have one.
Stabrook, go ahead.
So you're just asking for a multi-year commitment. When would this be built, like shovels in the ground, and when would it be open for the audience?
As soon as we have a commitment from the county, we can take this forward to the state and start their process, which can be lengthy. It can go up to a year potentially, but we'll expedite it as best we can. And then upon that, at that point, then we can get the bids and award contracts, and it's gonna be a year and a half before we start actually putting steel up, I would think, from the time that we have, the commitment. So, and it'll probably be a 2-year build process, right? So, I'm not, did I?
2027?
So it's,
27.
you're asking for a $7.5 million, like a drawdown over those years?
Yes, to help pay for
So
the
we could
construction.
bank money and then you wouldn't be using it for a couple of years?
Right.
That's right.
We have the 10 million from the state, the 2.5 from the college, and the 7.5 from the county, which would be used to draw down for the construction process.
So that's a
over a period of time.
3.5, 4 year at the quickest, at the
Yeah,
fastest.
and at the quickest. So time is of the essence really on this building, because we're a lead time away.
We started, in 2016, we started advocating for this building. In 2016, the estimate for the cost was 16 million. So the more we don't, the longer it takes, the more costly it becomes. But it's also, we work with South Carolina Alliance. They had a company recently come in from South Africa, work with John O'Toole a lot. This is an opportunity to not talk theory as to what we can do, but to take businesses in where they can see us doing it. They can see it, they can smell it, they can practically taste it, they can see the students, and that really helps our economic development community when we can do that. But it also is how we draw students into these fields. Again, we need to keep our graduating students here, and that 12%, whether it's the active military that we can encourage to be here, although most of them go home to Ohio, and that's okay. But
Nothing wrong with Ohio.
nothing wrong with Ohio, except there's Ohio State, and that gets to be, I'm from Pennsylvania. Other than that.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's not get started.
Is there,
That's not good on that.
is there any other possible funding sources? Obviously, we've just gone through COVID, and there was
Yeah.
so much of the ARPA and other COVID funds available, which all those have now dried up, but is there anything else that's still out there?
Yeah, so, no, not as far as the COVID, money rain. We're putting in an EDA grant, and that's a potential to 2 and 2.5 million. I want to remind again, we're anticipating a $26 million beginning to end. So the construction being at 20, and then for that 6, looking at EDAs, we're going to do a capital campaign. General Brown, we have opportunity. He has a lot of supporters, and there has already been gifts coming in. We have been successful with fundraising, and we feel that we could probably bring in up to $4 million in a campaign. We continue to talk to the other counties, and we always will. We always will. We said before, and this is true, Beaufort County is a regional leader. We often find that our partners or your county, your peers will follow your lead.
Mr. Glover, go ahead.
Yeah, just, thank you, for your report. A couple of things. One, I'll just comment that, I like your 96% placement. I think
Yeah.
that's excellent, yeah. Could you talk to me a little bit about the dual enrollment program? Give me a better understanding. How is that compared to what is happening at ACE with students?
Well, in dual enrollment, the dual enrollment program traditionally has been for students who want to transfer on to university. And that
From
makes
the ninth grade?
from TCL dual enrollment classes. They're in high school, mostly from Beaufort County, over 700 students. And most of those will transfer on to universities at some place at some time. But most of them will have a chance to get their associate's degree before they do that. And that has been free to them. It's between the college discounting the tuition and support from the county school district, it's free. So it's a great benefit to them. Now, we have recently started more and more CATE, career technical education programs, where students are learning HVAC, they have a chance to learn plumbing, electrical, cybersecurity, medical, the trades, and the other applied programs. So, yeah, that's emerging, but traditionally it's been for students who want to transfer on to university.
And are there, transportation provided or?
Yeah,
it's all-
actually.
Okay.
We do it both in the schools and in our campuses. We like to do it on our campus, but many times they want to do it in the school buildings. So in the case of Beaufort County, they're going to transport the students from the various schools to our campus at New River. And I think so too here at the Mather
At
campus.
Beaufort Mather. And the other thing with Beaufort County School District, it will be the student's choice, and they are committed to transporting that student to where that student wants to go, if it's Beaufort Mather or if it's down at the New River. And I think part of the motivation is the idea of a regional workforce training center where a student can, be taking supply chain and logistics at the same time he or she might be taking their English and their basics.
Not to mention culinary and hospitality programs.
Exactly.
Let me interject real quick, is the fact my one son, who's now graduate from USC, was dual enrolled from Bluffton High School. So whenever he graduated, he didn't have an associate's degree, but he had credits that transferred,
Yeah.
which saved him then a lot of his core classes. He had already taken as dual enrollment with Bluffton High School when he was there, and a lot of those then transferred to University of South Carolina, which then saved money, and he was able to use those credits as college credits that transferred from TCL.
It's better than AP. Better than AP.
It is better.
You do enrollment, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Mr. Chairman, actually, just one
Yes,
clarification, I want to make sure everybody's clear up here and in the public. The state will not release those funds, the 10 million, until you get commitment.
We
from
can't
us.
proceed with the project till we have the full
So
amount.
everything's on hold
Correct.
until we act.
Yes,
So
correct.
we need to get, I guess, a resolution, I guess, for the next
Yeah, I put it
agenda.
down there.
Okay.
Yeah, we would like to see it by the end of this fiscal year, so we can start the new fiscal year, with the process.
Just
May
the resolution,
first,
though, right?
May
Yeah,
first.
just the commitment.
Okay, May 1st.
Yeah.
May 1st. May 1st.
I fully support this. I think it's wonderful. I wish it was coming up here, north of the Broad, but I think what you did with the Culinary Institute is absolutely wonderful, and I'm looking forward to getting this done for you.
Thank you. Since, I want to take another 30 seconds, because others took longer. But just to mention, that we're expanding the health sciences here in the Beaufort Mather campus. We got $2.5 million from DHEC a couple years ago in order to expand our nursing and our other programs. And so you may not be able to see it from the exterior, although you will soon see it from the exterior. There's work going on inside with the new occupational therapy program, the expansion of the nursing simulation labs in Building 4. So that is, the vision is to expand the health sciences in the Beaufort Mather campus. And it complements what Mr. Baxley and Beaufort Memorial Hospital are doing.
That lab you have at TCL New River, where they have the sort of real-looking people laying in the beds, that is creepy.
I know.
I mean, you look at it, it looks like a real person laying in the bed, and they sort of work on them.
They make sounds and noises.
They make sounds and noises, and when the lights are off, you don't know who's making sounds and
It's
noises.
maybe not the best way to kind of start a relationship with a councilwoman by, taking her into a dark room with, with body shapes.
A wonderful presentation. Do I see anyone else with questions? No one online, no one here in chambers. So again, thank you all for coming out. Wonderful presentation as usual.
Thank you very
again,
much.
We appreciate everything you do for us.
Thank you for what you
here in
do.
the county.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I appreciate everyone's patience. I know that some of these finance committee meetings, we go through presentations, last longer than what everyone wants. But again, we try to give everyone enough time to fully expand upon what they're here for and what they're doing. But I'd like to move on then to our next presenter. And this is Angie Sally. She's the Executive Director of the South Carolina Department of Mental Health, the Beaufort office.
Good afternoon,
So,
everyone.
Ms. Sally, thank you for coming and being with us today. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you all so much for having me. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. And I do have a few members of our team with us that I would like to just briefly introduce, because I think we've lost almost everybody else except for those of you who have to be here, right? So just by default, that should be a positive thing. So I have with me today our Director of Administration, Dr. Cobb Hayes, Jennifer Cobb Hayes for Coastal, our 2 clinic directors for Beaufort County, Ms. Courtney Humes, who's the Beaufort County Clinic Director, and Ms. Omega Smalls Francis, who's our Hilton Head Clinic Director. Our mobile crisis supervisor, Mr. Teray Beaton, was here with us, but he had to leave. His duty called, so he had to leave to attend to something. So I just want to go through just a little bit. I know that other presentations have gone on longer. I promise you I will try to be brief, as I've already been kind of cautioned to. So a lot of folks, even though we've been here in Beaufort County for quite a while, and Beaufort County is our administration office clinic site and also our clinic site, we are a state agency. We are a division of the Department of Mental Health. So Community Mental Health Services is a division. The Department of Mental Health has many visions. We're just one of those. And around the state, we are one of 16 mental health centers. So Coastal Empire does cover Beaufort County, Colleton County, Allendale, Hampton, and Jasper. But I'm here today to talk to you about Beaufort County. Specifically, our mission for all is to support the recovery of people with mental illnesses. Our priority is to treat adults with serious and persistent mental illnesses and children with severe emotional disturbances. We are clinic-based outpatient treatment. We are the largest clinic-based outpatient treatment provider of mental health services in all 5 of the counties that we serve. We provide services in our schools here in Beaufort. We're in 14 of your schools. We have a contractual agreement with Beaufort County School District. We provide consultation only to the detention center. Well, I will take out the word only. We do still serve patients that are open to us or active cases with us that end up in jail that have extenuating circumstances that may be a little bit much for Beaufort Memorial Hospital to take on, or that might be complex cases, might be court-ordered cases. We maintain those cases and provide consultation to the detention center as well as their contracted provider, Beaufort Memorial Hospital. We also provide consultation to different medical centers. We currently have a memorandum of understanding with Good Neighbor Medical Clinic for referrals and services in kind with patients that we serve together. Because they provide treatment for the physical health, we provide the overall treatment for mental health. We provide community education and in-services with many different partners around our different community. We have community support programs that include individual placement services, which, if you think of it in the state's version of vocational rehabilitation, we have our own in-service for individualized placement services to help those patients who have identified goals for working and career development, to help match them and get them job ready or work ready. We also have community housing through different programs with the state that we do have apartments here in Beaufort located at Canal, and then we have a home share program, which is much like, I tried to explain it to people, home share is a lot like adult foster care. We have licensed or certified providers where they have opened up their home to house or to provide a safe and nurturing environment to our patient to live there in support with what services we provide and training that we provide, and they receive a stipend for that partnership. We provide 24/7 mobile crisis services, on-site mobile responses throughout Beaufort County, to wherever we need to go, including Defusky. We've been asked, what will you do if you get a call on Defusky? We will go. We'll figure out with the Sheriff's Department which ferry or how we're going to get there, but we will respond because we do serve. From time to time, we've had patients or we have had cases, and we still do. There's not few, but even if a person is not, and I want to specify this, mobile crisis services are provided to any and everyone that are experiencing a crisis and call that 1-833 number. It is not just for the active patients that we serve at Coastal, which currently is about 2,581 patients. Of that 2,581 center-wide, over 53% of those patients, 1,390 some odd, 1,384 of those patients, because I know Ms. Anna may ask me that question, are Beaufort County residents. So that is 53.26% of the population we serve or that we are currently serving right now are from Beaufort County. We have many collaborations. I'm not going to read through all of this. One of our biggest partners is sitting in this room, is Rebecca Witt with Beaufort County Alcohol and Drug. One service that I don't have up there that we provide is we do provide the judicial evaluations for your county court, which means that our providers, our medical providers, one of our psychiatrists has to evaluate patients that are going through the process. If someone has petitioned for them to have to be evaluated to determine if they need to be involuntarily committed either on an outpatient or inpatient basis, whether or not they need to be court ordered to outpatient treatment, inpatient treatment. We provide that service through our psychiatrists, that they do those evaluations in conjunction with our partners at Beaufort County Alcohol and Drug. They have the mental health professional or the certified drug and alcohol professional that does that portion. And then we also do those type evaluations as well for our population. We work with all these different entities that are listed. One of the main things that we wanted to bring to your attention today is one of the partnerships that I'm most proud of that started here in Beaufort County and now is catching on. And as I go and talk to other law enforcement entities, I'm hearing from them that they're doing what they can to find some money to help support this. So in Beaufort County, we had the privilege of providing a sheriff's department with a law enforcement embedded clinician. What does that mean, Angie? A law enforcement embedded clinician is a victim's advocate that is actually a mental health professional who can provide and does provide clinical services. They respond with law enforcement to different calls in the community. They engage with the individuals. It doesn't just have to be a victim. It can sometimes be a member of the community or a constituent that the sheriff's department has some concerns because they have had multiple encounters with them. And they know that something's going on, but they don't know what it is. And we're trying to prevent having to go over to the ER and visit Mr. Baxley or them going to jail. So it's another version of diversion for us, if possible. And so they provide services. They go out, assess situations, and the most crucial part of that is they provide linkage and a warm handoff to the mental health center when appropriate of individuals who need our services. They can provide services to them for a limited amount of time. This is a fairly new endeavor. Jen, Courtney, help me out. The date that Casey started with us, it's been a year now. Now, this was a grant that we got from the state, and the grant did not cover the full salary of this clinician, and we did not get any funding from Beaufort County for this position either. We didn't ask for any. We went over, talked to Sheriff Tanner and to Colonel Horton about it. They were very interested. This had been piloted around the state. It's working beautifully. There's lots of people who have these different partnerships. And by the way, I just want to mention that Beaufort City heard about it. They came to the table with some money to help buy in for their clinician just started a few months ago at Beaufort City. Beaufort County, you all know, we got lots of people in this county, almost 200,000, a little over 190,000. So Casey is being stretched with her position. Our mobile crisis team is being stretched because the majority of our calls that are coming in are coming from Beaufort County. We asked the state who keeps the data on our call situation to get us some updated data. One of the biggest complaints that I heard, and I'm very transparent, one of the things that people said to me when I first took this position is you need to fix your mobile crisis. Back then it was called community crisis response. intervention, CCRI. And so we were doing some things very well, and we were doing some things that weren't working so good. And one of the things is we covered 3,044 square miles of territory. Not all Beaufort County, but a good bit of it is. And when these folks get the calls late at night, early in the morning, it can be 8:20. If that phone rings and it's a mobile crisis call, guess what? They have to go. And so they go partnered into, they have to respond with law enforcement when they go out. But it helps us with not having people bottlenecked in the emergency rooms as much as possible, or people going to jail who don't need to be there. Because then I'm talking to Colonel Grant about them, or Courtney, or Omega is getting those calls. So that's some of the highlights. The school district is taking care of their responsibility, even though that's getting a little shaky right now because they don't know what they're going to do for the 2025 school year. And I'm saying, really, we're the biggest provider of your school mental health services, and we're boots on the ground. We're not doing the telehealth thing with kids, and we don't cherry pick who we treat. We treat people who don't have money to pay, which is about 20% of our payroll source is self-pay. And many of those patients don't have the resources to pay. Why are we asking y'all for money? I can skip through all the rest of this presentation, to be honest with you. Because, again, I said we are, as far as I know, the only state agency that is not fully funded by the state legislature. They were funding us at about 49% of our budget, which is a little over $8 million. My CFO, Director of Administration, could give you the exact figure. I think it's about 8.3. They reduced what they gave us, and that's in your packet that you received for the budget request last year by about 2%, which equals about $75,000 I'm asking you for. Not asking you to pay for our state cars. And yes, Mr. Glover, we do need them to do our jobs, because I cannot ask people to get in their cars to run all over this 3,000 square miles of territory. And they're mandated to do their jobs. So I can't say that, no, you can't, that we don't have a car, because if we don't, then we do have to pay them. And that mileage is, she said, 34 cents a mile?
60-something.
Yeah, it's increased. It's increased. And no, we don't get to partake of many lavish conferences. I am going to Hill Day in 2024. I thought it was a privilege, and now I found out it's a burden because they're making me pay for it out my center budget. I'm not asking for that. I had to pay for my own hotel room and hope that and pray that I get reimbursed. But I say all that to say that we're here because we're asking for the support of this council. I serve 5 counties. Beaufort is one of the 2 counties that does not contribute to us. Colleton County contributes $30,000 a year. Jasper County, and we have a 5-year commitment for $150,000 from them. That is just been renewed last year, so that's been ongoing from them. We get $10,000 from Jasper County and $2,650 from Hampton. We were getting a little bit from Allendale, but we have not in the last couple of years. So I plan to make a trip to them, and even if you cease to be so kind to grant this request, we come back to you. And even if you don't, you're still going to see our face, because I want you to know what we're doing in your community. I want you to know who we're serving, like I said, which could be anybody that's in need of services. We have no age limits for services that we provide to individuals that we provide them. And we do that regardless, because it's been quite a while since we've gotten any state appropriations. I don't believe it's a mandate, but I was talking to someone not too long ago about the history in establishing mental health centers in the community in the state of South Carolina. And one of the things that the legislature asked a long, long time ago, they didn't mandate it, because if they did, I probably wouldn't be here, except for to tell you how I was using it, right? But they asked that our counties help support your mental health centers. We have a lot of people that work for us that don't do it because we paid them a lot of money. We just went through comp and analysis a year ago with the state government because we were hemorrhaging. We were losing clinicians so much that we were hemorrhaging. We're still not where we want to be. We are not fully staffed, and Beaufort County is one of the areas where we're not fully staffed, probably about 70 to 80% for our Beaufort clinic, but not fully staffed. So of that 8.3, because I hear my ding, I hear it, Ms. Denise, of that 8.3 million, I'm sorry, Jen's probably happy with that. It takes us a little over $4 million, and that's in your packet, to support Beaufort County staff and operations. And we put in there the breakdown of everything that we spend money on that's specific to the county of Beaufort, which includes operating this clinic on Reebok Road and operating the clinic on Dillon Road.
Oh, okay.
Questions? Because I don't know if I need to go through the rest of this, and I think the clicker's dying. That might be a reason they might be trying to tell me to stop talking.
Any questions?
Yes.
Seriously,
Okay.
Have you ever asked Beaufort County for funding?
Since I've been in this position, September of 2021, no, sir, Mr. Glover, I have not.
Okay. Well, you know, the Bible says if you.
You have not because you asked not. That's why I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Now, the other question, serious one, is that, is there any coordination between your your clinic workers with other agencies like the city of Beaufort? Or are you gonna have a separate person just for the Beaufort County?
So Beaufort County Sheriff's Office already has their clinician. They have a law enforcement embedded clinician. Ms. Casey Jocelyn has been there for over a year, so she's here in Beaufort. She's on both sides. We split up her days from where she goes over to Bluffton. Our two wonderful clinic directors are speaking with your law enforcement entities almost on a daily basis. And so then Beaufort City has their own. They were not interested in partnering or cost sharing
That's what it was.
with their employee. Yeah, so the cost share is between them, and then we're supporting the other part of his salary.
Gotcha, okay. And, you know, mental health has been a concern of this council, for years, and wanting to help, and we talked about it, so I'm glad to see that something is coming forward, because we talked about the coastal mental health as well. You know, are we getting services from them?
Yes, you all are.
So, you know, I'm glad to see that, this is happening, because,
Yes, sir.
mental health is something that we don't talk about, but it's there.
Yes, sir.
And we need to respond to, and one of the things that, several years ago, and I think it was a mental health case, but law enforcement showed up on the scene and the person died. And I think having somebody with the mental health agency there to help law enforcement to assess the situation probably
Yes, sir.
would have been, saved that person's life. I don't know that for a fact, but that's what I believe.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, just
Mr. Paul?
one question. Well, David, thank you all for doing what you're doing. I think it's
You're
wonderful.
welcome.
Is the sheriff putting any money, allocating any money toward this as well to help? Because one person is not enough.
No, sir. We have not. We have not asked them, and just to go back to Mr. Glover's point, we had a lot of fires to put out. We were also dealing with, I took this position in the midst of COVID, and so we had a lot. It was staring down the barrel. One of our proudest accomplishments, or some of ours I didn't mention, was we are CARF accredited. I walked into this position, and that's a big ordeal. That's a survey by our National Commission on Accredited Rehabilitation Facilities. So when I came to this position, we had a lot going on. We had staff shortages in many of our major. I didn't have Dr. Cobb Hayes that was here telling me, you know, breaking down this budget and helping me understand it, and helping me understand, hey, you don't get any money from here, and we need to see if we can fix this. So we didn't have those different things going on. So I did want to make that point, and I'm sorry, Mr. David, I'm sorry that I derailed, but can you ask me your question again?
Just, are you getting any money from the sheriff's department?
No, I did answer it, yes.
Yeah,
No, sir, we are not. We have not asked for any because we were so excited that we were offered the opportunity for a grant. And again, being totally transparent, when we look at the number of patients that we serve, the number of calls that we were having with mobile crisis, it just made common sense that we needed to start. Hampton County Sheriff Russell has been begging me for this when he was campaigning, okay? And so it didn't make sense to take it to Hampton County. We get a lot of calls from Hampton County, don't get me wrong. And Hampton County offers Hampton and Allendale. But when you talk about the population that we serve here, the number of calls that we were getting here, and the need was shown for Beaufort County. And we went to Sheriff Tanner with this proposition to offer him that position, and he was very interested in it. And so, yes, we do want that to grow. We have, when you look at like our partners in Charleston, they have them. They have multiple in their sheriff's department in addition to with their different municipalities throughout the county.
I'm with Mr. Bartholomew. I think we need more than one. I can't believe we have one. So
We
my
will give you all as
suggestion-
many as you think we need, and I'm just
Well,
joking.
my suggestion
but-
is go back to the sheriff, tell him to find some money in his budget, and you can tell him Tab sent you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I have a point of clarification before
Yes.
this lady sits down?
Yeah, Larry, go ahead. Yes, Mr. McKellen, go ahead.
As a point of clarification, do I understand you to say that your clinical operating expenses in Beaufort County come in at around $4 million a year?
Yes, sir.
And that's for personnel and for operations?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and how many locations do you have?
In Beaufort County, we have two. We have the Reebok Road Clinic, and we have Dillon Road in Hilton Head.
And how many personnel does that include?
52.
52
52
full-time
active employees, 5 vacancies.
52 employees are receiving salaries now?
Yes,
Yes, Larry.
yes.
Okay, I got it. Okay, I'm clear. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I do have one question, again,
Yes, sir.
with homelessness, most of that is associated with mental illness. So to someone to get to you, do they have to come to you through a referral, such as the school?
It's
or-
self-referral. We take referrals from all bases, but people can be self-referred. Our mobile crisis access, so we have access in Beaufort County, which is specific only to Beaufort, and it's because of the volume. But we have, where when we're operating, we do offer 2 nights of night clinic, but patients can walk in at any time during our operating hours and walk in, call. People call all the times and initiate their own referrals. They do not have to be referred through any other. I mean, they can be, we accept them from doctor's office, pediatrician, schools, family members, but we always say, well, they have to, they're gonna know that you're, but we do deal with the patient, because it is very person-centered. And so, people can't just, the person does have to voluntarily agree and consent to treatment with all of our services.
That's amazing. I didn't know that, so, yeah. Well, Ms. Sally, thank you for coming. Any other questions that we have today?
Thank you very much.
No,
Thank
It was
you
very
all.
informative. Thank you, Ms. Sally, and your staff for waiting so long, being patient with us, so thank you.
Not a problem at all. Thank you.
All right, let's move on then to our final presentation.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
just quickly, Ms. Sally, you reference volunteer. Suppose a person refuse or doesn't volunteer, is nothing you can do for them?
So that would, if it's an emergency, then we can initiate an intervention if there is an emergency. We have to assess the situation and then initiate an intervention. And then we have the process where if there is a concern that someone is mentally ill and needs treatment, then that would be when we would have to have an applicant that would petition for that person to receive treatment, and then they would go through the process. We work with probate court to send out notification to them that this has happened, that there's a petition, and that we're setting up the whole process for an examination for
How long
them.
does that normally take going through probate?
It really depends, but it should be, there's a time frame from the time that the petition is filed until when the hearing should be established, and I think it's somewhere between 14 to 21 days. Now, if it's an emergency, it's happening right now, if it's an emergency. And I will say that I do pride us on one of the things that we had to fix at Coastal when I took this position was access and making sure that we were responding. And so I am proud to say that Coastal is meeting that. We met it at 98% with ensuring that emergencies were responded to on same day, urgent within 2, and any routine requests for services within 7 days.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. And I did, one more thing, Highway to Hope. We have a RV that we are also, we started it in St. Helena. It has had a huge response, Mr. Glover. And we are looking at other places in Beaufort County. That's another thing that Mr. Beaton has been working on today because he's our Highway to Hope coordinator. And that is to allow people access to care that don't have to walk in the clinic. It is with 2 offices, and so we can provide services, and that's exactly the purpose of it. We can do outreach and awareness, A lot less focus on that. We can drive to where we need to be to talk to people like we did today. We don't need to take a RV to do that. So that is something else that we're gonna be talking to you more about in the future, okay? Thank you all.
Thank you, Miss Sally.
Stage.
Great presentation, thank you. Let's move on then to our final presentation, and that is from Mr. Bob Elliott, the co-founder of South Carolina Nurse Retention Initiative. And Mr. Elliott, thank you for your patience and being here today.
Oh, thank you very much. I apologize up front if I'm not quite as entertaining as our previous speaker. But I am the founder of the South Carolina Nurse Retention Initiative, and I think you're going to hear me speak to a couple of topics that have already been covered, which is workforce development and the need to keep our students here after they graduate, which is a comment that the TCL made. And we're connected with both Beaufort Memorial Hospital and with TCL. I provided a lot of information. I did not put it into slides. I thought I would give you the executive summary, if you will. I do have a couple of slides keyed up just to show you and introduce you to the nurses that we've added to our retention program, but I'll hold off until the end.
Okay.
Sorry?
You wanna wait?
Yeah, right at
Just
the
let me
end.
know.
So we do have a nurse shortage today. You've heard that. I'm repeating it. And I'm telling you that it's going to get worse before it gets better. We have retirements. We have infrastructure investments that you've heard about. And of course, we have the population growth. Recruiting and retaining top quality healthcare staff is a top issue, a main issue nationwide, and certainly in the Low Country. And that's for physicians, that you heard from Mr. Baxley, and also for nurses. We're going to need to make significant investment in our workforce development, nurse workforce development in the coming years. And we heard today several examples, and there are many others as well. And that involves affordable housing for employees. It involves recruitment and retention. And it involves expansion of our nursing schools, which we also heard today. So we need to hire, in my estimation, over 200 nurses every year for the next several years. We have 222 nurse positions open as we sit here today in Beaufort County, across Beaufort County. And that represents 19 healthcare providers. So the point I wanted to make is we are working to recruit and retain nurses for all healthcare providers in Beaufort County for the benefit of the Beaufort County citizens. These jobs are open in our hospitals, in our hospice, in our home care, in our schools. Bluffton Elementary has a job opening right now, and there's a job open in our Naval Hospital. So it gives you an idea of the breadth across, the need across the breadth of healthcare. Hilton Head Regional Healthcare itself has a target of hiring 113 nurses this year and 48 new graduates. There is a cost savings associated with retention. Every nurse that we lose costs us about $50,000 to recruit a replacement and train that replacement. And of course, that causes disruption and it impacts the availability and quality of healthcare as well. So South Carolina Nurse Retention Initiative that I founded 2.5 years ago is a donor-advised fund 501(c) under the Community Foundation of the Low Country. And our mission is to attract, recruit, if you will, nurses to become employed and remain employed in Beaufort County. I would say we are the only nonprofit, the only organization that is focused on this. Now, I would also say we're not the only solution to the nurse shortage. We've already talked about the other activities that are underway. We need to address the shortage of enrollment that we have in our colleges and several other aspects to the nurse shortage itself. So as an outside agency, okay, South Carolina Nurse Retention, I'd like to have you think of us as a provider of health care services through the nurses that we recruit and retain. I mean, I'm not providing those services, they are. But we're providing healthcare services to the citizens of Beaufort County through these nurses. Nurse workforce development supports the county's vision of having world-class health care facilities to meet the needs of current and future populations. I'm asking the Beaufort County Council to make an investment in nurse workforce housing, nurse workforce development. So I'm requesting $150,000, which would be a commitment over the next 3 years. The fiscal '25 impact would be $50,000. And that would go towards our goal of raising $600,000 over the next 3 years. And that would allow us to add 20 to 25 nurses per year. Now, we received ARPA money from Beaufort County back in early '23, and we thank you very much. We committed and spent all of that money. And at that time, the council was very intrigued about nurse retention in our program. And they said that, further consideration would be given based on a demonstration of impact. And I think you were part of that process. I think that our accomplishments demonstrate that we've had a significant impact. We've invested over $400,000 in 2.5 years towards nurse workforce development, including the funds from the county. And what we do is we cover our modest expenses every year, which are right now about $10,000. $10,000 of expenses we incur. And all the rest of the money that I'm able to raise and my team goes directly towards the nurses. We don't have any employees, we're all volunteers. There's about 8 of us that are working on this initiative. So with that, if you could bring up the slides on the nurses.
Yes, sir.
Wherever that is. Thank you. I want to introduce you via PowerPoint to the recipients. I'm not going to go into any detail, but as a reminder, we are recruiting new nurse grads, recent grads.
I'm sorry, it wasn't shared on Zoom, so let me
Oh,
try to
okay.
figure it out for a second.
Okay, all right.
Because your PowerPoint automatically plays, so I can't drag it, it's just automatically popping up
Okay,
on that screen, so give me just a minute.
okay.
Thank you.
I'll just describe the slides that you're going to see. But so the definition is that for a nurse to be eligible for our program, they have to have graduated in the previous 12 months. we designed it that way so that we could reach those nurses while they were still in school and influence their decision on where they were going to be employed. In 2021, we started with 3 nurses, and we started with a focus. It was a 4-year retention program, and it was focused on BSNs, Bachelor of Science, graduates from USCB. That's how we started. And in year 2, we added 8 nurses to the program, and we expanded to include TCL, associate degree nurses, and we added Jasper County because of all of the obvious facilities there that Beaufort County residents would also, or citizens would avail themselves to. In 2023, we added 21 nurses, and we exceeded our goal of 20, and we expanded our reach to include 9 colleges. So beyond TCL, USCB, I'm reaching out to 9 colleges that are 100 miles away or more. MUSC, Georgia Southern, Trident. And so that's what's bringing in the demand, if you will, for our program, is nurses from all of these colleges that are hearing, oh, thank you. So here are the,
Okay, just tell me when
the
to
2022 nurse recipients. And the 2023 recipients, you can see the diversity. We have single moms, we have single dads. Dean Smith just had a son. A whole variety and diversity of recipients. In 2024, we've added 5 nurses. That was a application process that just concluded about a month ago. And we actually had approved a 6th one who decided that they didn't want to work on Hilton Head Island and commute from Savannah. Surprise, surprise. So she didn't even show up for work. I think she made one trip to check out the island and decided that that commute was going to be tough. And that's one of the reasons that they are, that Hilton Head is having a struggle in recruiting nurses. So those are the recipients right now. The goal is to add 15 in our September process. And so of the 37, we've added 40 nurses in total. We've lost 3 nurses along the way. So we have 37 that are still on the program. Now, that is a 93% retention or a 7% turnover rate compared to the national average of 20 to 25. So I think we're demonstrating that we can not only attract nurses into our area, but we can keep them. Now, of the 37 nurses, 21 of them work at Beaufort Memorial Hospital. And 3 are working at places like Sea Island Pediatrics, Beaufort Pediatrics across the road, and Agape Hospice. The 5 nurses in Jasper are working at Coastal Carolina, Beaufort, Jasper, Hampton, Comprehensive Services, and Friends of Caroline. So you can see the breadth across the healthcare network, if you will. So just a little bit on the impact. Each nurse in a hospital setting will care for approximately 5,000 patients per year, one nurse. You know, Russell mentioned a physician seeing 2,000. A nurse is 5,000. There's 40 roughly nurses we've added are now seeing 200,000 patients that they wouldn't have otherwise been able to care for. Studies show that increasing the nursing staffing level has a direct impact on the quality of care. There's fewer medication errors. Does that give me 1 minute?
Yes.
Yes. Lower patient mortality, shorter hospital stays. So, you asked a couple of questions. Fiscal '23 budget, essentially, we raised $220,000. We awarded $186,000 in nurse retention stipends. '24, we committed $158,000 to nurse retention. And good news is, I've been able to raise some money here for the September. I got $100,000 in the bank. $50,000 from Beaufort County would allow us to add 15 to 18 nurses in September. That is it. I've answered your questions. I did not get money last year, and that's it. So let me answer any questions that you may have.
So the bulk of the money goes to scholarship? Is that what you're telling us?
These are, it's really a stipend,
A stipend.
or you can call it a post-graduation scholarship. We tend to call it a stipend now. And we pay, so a nurse starts at Beaufort Memorial Hospital on day one, okay? We don't pay them the first stipend until 6 months later, after they've demonstrated where they've been working. Okay, so we're paying for the services rendered, we're paying in arrears, if you will. And so every 6 months, we go through that process. They show us their pay stub, where they've been working, and they are allowed to move. We do not restrict their movement. We've had nurses who have started at Hilton Head Hospital and have decided that hospice is their passion. As long as they're staying in Beaufort County, they can stay on our program. We recruit and retain for all healthcare providers. Increasing the supply will benefit all healthcare providers and the citizens of Beaufort.
So the stipend's for 2 years, if I read somebody's comment here?
It's a 2-year stipend now.
Okay.
Yes, every 6 months. And when they leave, there's no penalty, the payments stop. Payments simply stop, and we put it towards, and as I said, we've only lost 3 nurses because of personal circumstances that have left the Beaufort County area. I did put in there some testimonials from the nurses to kind of illustrate how they're using the funds. We don't restrict that either. They can use it for childcare, for commute, for housing, for further education. So it's, we're very flexible in that regard. You just work in Beaufort County, stay employed in primary health care, and we'll pay you for up to 2 years, which we found to be the critical period of time, 2 years. If we can get them established here, their roots, then it's more likely they're gonna remain beyond.
Any questions for
Just
Mr. Elliott?
quickly, I would love, beyond that, the retention after the 2 years time. Just to see what the retention rate is beyond that. I mean, I just, for
Yes.
information, yeah.
And I'm as curious as you are, because we're into the 2.5-year period now. The one nurse I was gonna show you from 2021.
I can pull it up.
Okay. Lauren Lindano. She is our, she's one of the 2021 recipients. She's coming on to 3 years, okay? So that's how new our program is. And Lauren started at Beaufort Memorial in emergency, and she's the one that has decided to follow her passion in hospice. And she's also studying now for her master's. So that gives you an idea of, I would have loved to have continued a 4-year retention. The reason we went to 2 is because, again, that's the critical period, and we could double the impact with the same amount of funds raised. by offering a 2-year retention versus 4. But yes, I'm interested in that too, tracking that over time.
I apologize, it's not opening up further.
Okay,
for me to
it's
see
okay,
the
it's
screen.
okay. I'll send you her photo.
No, yeah,
I
it
can
was
send
a-
this out to
Oh, you could-
everybody.
Yeah, we
as
saw,
well.
I saw it.
Oh, okay, you saw it.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was,
it's just not coming up.
Yeah, the last thing was, just a last name I never heard before, that's all. Yeah.
Lindano.
Any other questions for Mr. Elliott? Mr. Elliott, thank you for coming. We appreciate you being here, everything you do, so again, thank you so much.
I have something for you. This is a tradition now that we have when I meet with different groups. We have a nurse pin in the shape of a stethoscope, and I would ask you to give it to the next nurse you see and thank them for their service. During the COVID time, when they were under stress, a lot of them left because they didn't feel appreciated. And so that's one of the things our program is also doing, is it's demonstrating that the community cares and we want them to stay. So thank you again.
Very good, thank you.
It could be any nurse or one in the program?
Any nurse.
Any nurse?
I got you.
First nurse
Okay.
you see.
Is it contingent on us giving you the 50,000?
No. And I will say, there's a yellow and a red, you can trade colors if you wish.
Pink.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, great. Again, thank you, Mr. Elliott, for coming today. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to our agenda items, and we also have an executive session, so let's go ahead and
right.
move on to, again, what I'm doing is making up for March 11th, which was the fastest finance meeting ever, so
Yeah.
that's this is the exact opposite. So again, marathon. Audra, thank you for coming up. You're already way ahead of me, but
Yes, sir.
let me go ahead and recommend approval to council of an ordinance to accept and to appropriate funds from the South Carolina Opioid Settlement Funds. And if you'd like to tell us about this, please?
Yes, sir. This is actually our third ordinance. This was something that council approved 3 years ago for the opioid settlement funds. And this will be our third ordinance to accept and appropriate the funds that we have received. We submitted our plan to the SCORF board on February 5th, and we received an award letter on March 21st that our plan was approved,
All right, any questions?
which I believe is in the backup, sir.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to.
We have a motion to move forward. Is there, move this to council? Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any more discussion, any more questions?
I do have a question. I'm not that familiar with the process, so it has to go through an application process to the state?
Every year we apply, yes,
Okay.
sir.
And question, I actually sent an email to Denise. Is this something through the opioid settlements that we could help out with Coastal Empire with their embedded clinician? Obviously not this go around, but is there another application for next year?
So every year I mean, that can definitely, it has to meet the core strategies of the SCORF. So, if it meets those core strategies, then, then we can submit a plan. But it has to meet the core strategies of the opioid settlement funds.
Okay. Perfect. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, seeing no questions, any discussion? No discussion, we will move this to council without objection. Is there any objection? Seeing no objection, this will be moved to council.
Councilman Bartholomew, I would like to add, if you don't have a copy of the core strategies, I'd be more than happy to give that to you.
Yeah,
so
I
you
don't
can-
think I do.
Okay, I
So
can provide that to
that'd
you,
be
sir.
great. Thank you.
Mhm.
I think it was the first time we voted on it, you went in depth on those, right?
Yes,
The first time.
yes.
And I don't remember.
You're younger than me, you should.
I will send that to you, sir.
Thanks.
Right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
That's funny.
Let's move on to number 10. Recommend approval to council to disperse allocated ARPA Good Neighbor funds to the town of Bluffton. Fiscal impact, this request is for $500,000 and constitutes their full allocation. Funds remaining in the Good Neighbor Fund after this disbursement are $566,000. Remaining funds are allocated to Hardyville and Yemassee. Mr. Fralix, is that something that, do we need to have Mr. Fralix speak on this? We want to go ahead and ask for someone to Make a motion?
I put on the motion.
All right, is there a second?
it.
All right.
I'll
Yeah.
second it.
I mean, he
Is
can
there
talk if he
any
wants to.
questions for Mr. Freilich? Mr. Freilich?
I can give you a 2-second update.
Yes, sir. Why don't you do that?
All right, so this is real
You're all
easy project. So again, this is out of the ARPA funds that was already appropriated under the Good Neighbor, so $500,000 to each of the municipalities. This is Bluffton's. This goes to the Stony Creek sewer project. This is a joint project between the town and the county and Beaufort Jasper Water. It's $7.9 million, of which we got a $5.9 million grant from the state. So Bluffton has $1.5 million to contribute to the project, of which $500,000 would be coming from this source. So that's their intended use. The remaining funds that are left in the account of Good Neighbor, the 500 and change, 66,500 is from Hardyville. They intend to use theirs for the SC 170 short-term project, which is under construction. So that'll be expended here shortly. And the remaining 66,000 is Town of Yamasee, which we're working with them for them to make their last submittal and draw on that. So
All right, we will pass this without objection. Is there any objection? Seeing no objection, this will move then to County Council. And number 11, recommend approval to council of a request to purchase a new 36-passenger bus model, Starcraft All-Star XL. Fiscal impact is $188,760. The funding source is Parks and Recreation Capital Fund 2662 in the line item with a balance of $442,000. And Mr. Brown, I'd like to come forward. Thank you. I think this might be your first time to present to us before council. So glad to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Eric Brown, Parks and Recreation. So I've been here. This is my 5th week, and we've had 2 bus breakdowns with our seniors. And so as we analyzed and looked at our transportation, we're robbing bus B to pay bus A. So we're taking parts from one bus to make a full bus or van. And so on speaking with Fleet, they recommended that we actually go out and get another van. And I mean, a bus. And what this 36-passenger bus will do for us, if it's approved, it would not only help our senior program, but it would help our summer camps, it would help our athletic teams, and these buses will cut down the cost of travel expenses. So by having more than one bus, we'll be able to make less trips. And so that save gas, that save money, that save time. So we're asking for your approval to have a second 36-passenger bus, meaning that we have 6 to 7 senior programs. We can take the bulk of our seniors on shared trips at one time instead of having to come back and make multiple trips with just 14-passenger or 15-passenger vans.
Any questions for Mr. Brown?
I have a comment. I can't believe the other one, if you show the other picture, is from 2004, and it's still alive, sort of. So it does.
Yeah, that's the
definitely-
rob Peter to pay Paul
Yeah,
right
it
there.
definitely needs to go away.
Yeah.
And the seniors will love the new bus, and I'm sure the kids will too. Is the new bus, accessible for people with handicap?
Yes.
Okay. They get in on the back, or?
I think it has a
Wheelchair?
drop down, yes. The back door,
Back door?
yeah, has a back door drop down,
Okay.
yeah.
Was that a motion?
I need a motion.
Oh, I thought Tad made the motion. I'll make the
Oh,
motion.
yeah, well, I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
If I can
All right.
drive it.
Any
But
more?
were there- I do have a question. Were there any, I think this is beautiful, but were there any less expensive options out there?
Well, it was on a state contract, so,
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
That's fine.
This is the second bus we're getting this year, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. Is there any more discussion before we?
That's the second
No.
one.
All right, so is there
We
any?
did one about a month or so ago, I think, if I remember right, and this will be like
3
the
months, yes.
second one.
Mhm.
So we had not received that first.
We haven't
one yet.
received any as of yet.
Oh, the seniors gonna love you.
Yeah, they're
So-
gonna really be happy.
All right, we will pass this without objection. Is there any objection?
No.
Seeing no objection, this passes, and does this go to council then for a?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Brown, for coming
Thank you.
through. Appreciate that. All right, that is all of our agenda items. We do have an executive session, and pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 30-404-70A2, discussions of negotiation incident, proposed contractual arrangements and potential purchase of property, Project Bravo. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
A motion?
Is there a second?
A second.
Any objection? Seeing no objection, we will go into executive council, and there might be matters arising out of this executive session. But I see that we've got nobody left here to even know that we have.
Only comment I'm gonna make is that, old people, sometimes we need a break in between.
Yeah, we need that.
Keep that in mind next time.
Well, be here 10 minutes longer if you like. It's just,
Oh, no.
Oh.
I agree with you.
So I'll be.
out of the executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion that we recommend to move forward to council, a motion to approve
Purchase.
Project Bravo.
All right, there's been a motion then. Is there a second?
I'll say, okay.
So this is a motion to move forward the proposed contractual arrangements and potential purchase of property, Project Bravo. And is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, is there any objection? No objection. This will move forward then to county council. And we are adjourned. Again, thank you for staying so late. Thank you for your patience, and I promise we'll never be this way again.
Really?